Why, hello, and welcome. Welcome to the Captain's Cast on the Swords and Starships channel. And our continuing mission to seek bold characters, beautiful worlds, and truth in art. That is our mission. Mr. Producer, the mic stand is not to the Captain's liking. Oh, that's right. That's because we were recording. I told you to lower it earlier. I'm sorry, Mr. Producer. Forgive me. Forgive me. Anthony Mackie standing up for men and boys. Defending masculinity. Really, it's not men and boys. It's standing up for humanity. Because humanity needs strong women. We got plenty of those. Now we need strong men to come back. Anthony Mackie continues to prove himself to be a professional, if not the best Captain America. But he is certainly a professional, and we're going to talk about that. I have some thoughts on this that might surprise you. And Lilo and Stitch. Look, folks, what can I say? There's no movies. There's no TV shows. I did finish Invincible, and I'm going to review it for next week's video. I'm finishing up this week's video, which was a Daredevil review. So my next Daredevil review, I'll see if I can get it published tonight. So keep a lookout for that. So there's just, it's slim pickings. But we got Snow White coming out soon. What was the other one, Mr. Producer? What's the other great, exciting event that's coming out? I can't remember. Anyway, we got that to talk about later. But for now, we're just going to talk about everything in the news. Believe it or not, the stack of stuff is pretty full. Because the wokies are mad. The Disney adults are big mad about Lilo and Stitch. You're not going to believe it. You're not going to believe their complaints. So we'll talk about that. But that being said, I have not seen the Lilo and Stitch trailer. And I'm going to review it with you. I don't think I've ever actually seen the film Lilo and Stitch. But I have a feeling that this Disney live-action remake, whether or not it is of the soulless variety, is going to be massive. I have a feeling. It's just going to be a massive movie. But we'll see. Maybe if the trailer's cringe. Oh, that's right. Minecraft. Thank you, Mr. Producer. You were a little slow on that one, but I'll let it slide. Minecraft is the other thing that's going to be coming out. So we'll see. This year, Stranger Things is supposed to have its final season. And I will be very wound for sound when that comes out. We have a first look at Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey film. I'm a little schizophrenic on this. I am half super excited about Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey and half super nervous about it. I'm just nervous about it. You know what I'm saying? He's got Matt Damon playing Odysseus. That actually could work. I think that could actually work. And Tom Holland is going to be playing Telemachus, which is the son of Odysseus. If you don't know, your dear captain is a nautical man. In fact, I earned my title of captain through many years of fictional nautical service. It's a way of life, really. And beyond that, I love swords and sandals adventure stories. The Odyssey is one of my favorite stories of all time. It just is. It's one of my absolute favorites. So if Nolan just blows the doors off and just makes an awesome Odyssey film, I'm going to be just so excited. And James Gunn's Superman. Not looking good, folks. Now what is this Grandmaster? Grandmaster is going nuts in the Discord. He's just very unhappy with my lineup of topics. He wants to talk about something called Super Doggy. With Tom Cruise? He wants to talk about Super Doggy. All right, fine. We'll look at Super Doggy. What the hell is that? I don't know what that is. He says, Captain, none of your topics interest me. Well, okay, but if I'm not interested in the topics, you're not going to be interested in what I have to say about them. So we'll see how it goes. Who do we have in the chat? Mr. Producer, where is my chat? Wrangler is in the chat. Says, hail. Ahoy, Wrangler. Assume you'll post. Fu Man Blue says hail. Hail, Fu Man Blue. Staff here is in the chat. Hello. Ahoy. Assume you'll post. Staff here. Fu Man Blue says, and also said that hard work never pays off because success is only ever given, not earned. So I'm sure I care about anything that rich fuck has to say. Rich people are like aliens when it comes to understanding anything about life in the shadow of their towers. Perhaps. Speaking of Anthony Mackie. Yeah, I'm not saying that I think Anthony Mackie is a brilliant philosopher of our time. I'm just saying it's noteworthy. It's noteworthy that he's pointing out a problem in our society. It's kind of strange. Wait till I get to it, Fu Man Blue, because part of why I want to highlight it is because at the same time he's complaining that maleness has been vilified and masculinity has been stripped out of our society as much as can be done. He's part of that problem, though. When he goes on a stage and says things like, I don't think Captain America should represent America, that is contributing to the exact set of ideas that has resulted in the destruction of masculinity, which has resulted in weak men who are incapable of being leaders, adults, or writing good fiction. And all of the above. So we'll talk about that. Let's take a look at this Lilo and Stitch trailer. Now, I'm not a Lilo and Stitch super fan, okay? But I do know that it is super popular. It is super popular. Kids love this. They absolutely love Lilo and Stitch. So we're going to take a look at it. And you have not heard the most interesting thoughts about it until you've heard what I think about it. Mr. Producer, the browser, if you please. Okay, we're just going to react to the trailer, and then we're going to find out what the wackos think. Okay, are you ready for that? Roll tape! I have to say that the thing you cannot deny, whether this is a movie you will ever see or not, you can't deny that the Stitch character is incredibly adorable. You can't get away from that. I'm stating facts. I'm just stating facts. It looks kind of like a dog, but it's got kind of like dog ears, but it's also got big eyes. Disney used to be great at this. Well, this is the problem with these live action remakes, is they're just remaking things that were great back in the day. Disney has nothing new to offer. All they can do is rehash old things, that past achievements. Disney is the has-been company. It's staggering to think about. I'm so bored. I'm so bored of this already. It's a cute kid's toy that's come to life. That's all this is. It's a cute kid's toy that's come to life and it's getting into mischief. I mean, whatever. All right, just how much more of this, Mr. Producer? Like a minute? Just all right, roll it. Listen. Star Fury, just before you get your flamethrower, okay? Before you get your flamethrower for Stitch. You know, this is how we got Grogu, by the way. That's what Grogu is. Grogu is just Stitch, but in Star Wars. That's all that is. I think this movie's going to make like a billion billions. I think this movie's going to be massive. I hate to say it, folks. I'm not saying because, look, all the trailer is Stitch being cute. That's all it is. There's no real story here. It's just Stitch being cute. It's going to make like $1 billion. It's going to make an enormous amount of money. Because this property, I do think this property is huge. It's just massive. I don't know. Do I think it's as soulless as like the Lion King or Mufasa? No, actually. I think the Stitch character looks cool. He looks cute. That's really all that's necessary. The Stitch character looks cute. The actors look like they're having fun. It's going to make like $1 billion. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's acceptable. I think that's what they set out to achieve, and that's what they're going to get. Now, I bring this up for a reason, and I'm getting to that. Trailer has no sound. Because I forgot to turn on the desktop audio. Damn it. I forgot to turn on the desktop audio. Where is it, Mr. Producer? Streaming's hard, folks. Should I rerun it? I just had a bunch of dead air. All right, I'll let you vote. Should I rerun it? Let me know if you want me to rerun it. I know how to fix the sound issue. It's just that... Never mind. It's inside baseball. You don't need to know. Thanks for letting me know, chat. Okay, so... I bring that... I'm glad you let me know. Because the next video we definitely have to hear. Because it turns out that as harmless and inoffensive as the trailer is, it's just Stitch being cute. What's that, Fubad Blue? I have no idea what you're saying. I have no idea what that even means. Okay. As cute as Stitch is, and as easy as it's going to be, I think, to make $1 billion. Believe it or not, the Disney adults are mad. The long knives are out. The wackos are mad. Now, what could they possibly be mad about? They're getting a Lilo and Stitch. They should be excited. So what are they upset about? Well, for that answer, we go to the angriest man on the internet, Ryan Cannell, who has for us a report on why they're mad. All right, hang on. Enter URL. Okay, got it. All right. Roll tape, Mr. Producer. And before I do that, desktop audio. There we go.
It's been a rough run for Disney over the past few years with some of their live-action remakes of their beloved animated movies. However, the Lilo and Stitch live-action trailer came out yesterday, and overwhelmingly, it's been received fairly positively by fans who are saying, hey, this looks like a great adaptation, Stitch looks great, that is amazing. However, there's a portion of the fan base out there, and it happens to be the very same people that Disney has been catering to for the past several years. The same ones who will excuse away the Little Mermaid being black, who will say it's okay to cast a Latina Snow White because we need representation for them too, who are okay with massive changes, say like Black Snape and Harry Potter. They cheer those things on. However, they are the ones that have a problem with the color of some of the actors' skin in this remake. And this controversy goes back 2 years to when these casting choices were announced. Disney's live-action Lilo and Stitch remake sparks another debate about colorism in Hollywood. And it was all based on the actress who was hired to play Nani, who is not full-blooded indigenous Hawaiian. She's half Polynesian, half Caucasian, from my understanding. There's a lot of people out there who say it's good to see other people so we can see this type of representation. They are the ones who have a massive, massive problem with this, and they're being very vocal about it over on social media. You can see stuff like this. Lilo and Nani aren't supposed to be light-skinned. This is what they're supposed to look like.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, so now it matters. So when they race swap Severus Snape, it doesn't matter at all. This is such a brilliant point that he's making here. Oh, that doesn't matter. Diversity is what matters. You made a black dude a samurai in Assassin's Creed Shadows. That doesn't make any sense for feudal Japan. That's not important. Diversity is important. Diversity is important. Why do you care so much about skin color? And look at what they do. Now they're all pissed. They're all tuned up because she's not supposed to be light-skinned. I thought that didn't matter, shill. This is why they're shills. They're just NPCs. They're just a robot hive mind. The patch is downloaded. You must be angry. You must be angry all the time about things that don't matter. Roll tape.
Colorism really is outrageous, bruh, from Sade Green. And if we can go to a spot in this trailer to see, this is the actress who's playing Lilo. She's indigenous Hawaiian.
Seriously. They're fine. There's nothing. Everyone in the trailer was great. You know what strikes me about this trailer? Sorry, the sound wasn't on. If you want me to run it, I will. But I feel like you really don't need to hear. If you want me to run the trailer, I will. Yeah, Fuba Bliss has no need to rerun, etc. Yeah. So anyway, sorry you couldn't hear the trailer. Or maybe you're welcome. Either way, everybody was cute. Everybody was happy. Everyone was having a fun time. The trailer is just a happy trailer. That's all it is. It's like classic happy Disney. There's nothing offensive about it. There's nothing in the world to be angry about. And yet.
But apparently, activists out there who are okay with race swaps of every kind, they're not happy that this Hawaiian isn't as dark as they want her to be. And then, when it comes to the actress who plays Nani, again, she looks fairly dark in these clips. Now, some of the pictures of her that were out there before the casting feels like she has that type of skin where if she's in the sun a lot, probably gets pretty dark. If she's not, she can get pretty light. People are not happy, and they're accusing her of spray-on darkening her skin. All of this
my God.
wild...
Oh, my God. They're insane, folks. They're crazy. They are crazy, these activists. They hate the world and everything in it. They live to be angry about things. This is why I say the culture war, at least from our perspective, we of the Fellowship, it is a war of self-defense. Because if these wacko activists weren't around, nobody would have had anything to say about the skin color of this actress, period. They wouldn't have ever bothered. There would be no need to cast, to race swap characters in Harry Potter because the wackos wouldn't be around to rabble-rouse and be malcontents driving for this kind of nonsense. You wouldn't have Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadows because normal people would simply cast Japanese characters in a game about feudal Japan. They would create Japanese characters because that's normal. That's how normal, rational, sane, mentally stable human creatives think. The only reason all this nonsense is constantly going through this cycle is because the wacko activists hate the world and everything in it. And they want us to be dragged down with them. They're truly pathetic. They are truly pathetic. We're not the reason that these things are issues. They are the reason that these are issues. And never doubt they're losing. I think this is a huge L for the wackos because they're just showing the world they stand athwart happiness. They stand athwart joy. Classic hallmark of a totalitarian.
Shit that's out there. They're still Hawaiians. Okay, but an important part of the movie is that these are dark-skinned Hawaiian women. And the strongest thing...
These wackos. These absolute wackos. Imagine going on X to make an issue of this.
Deal with regarding COS, tourism, etc. Lilo is literally ousted by a white girl and other lighter-skinned girls. What else do we have? They painted the Nani actress brown for this, says Ryan over here. We got another one. They gave Nani actress a spray tan or whatever to cover up the fact they hired a Wasian, a white Asian person, right? A person of mixed ethnicity, white and Asian. In this case, Caucasian and Polynesian. And she was born in Hawaii, raised in Hawaii, all this stuff for this movie that's set in Hawaii.
These are the same people. Exact same wackos that will tell you that, what are you upset about? Snape is black? That doesn't matter. Why does that upset you?
Why about Hawaiian people? Want to play a brown-skinned indigenous Hawaiian girl. Can't make this up. Some of these tweets have, like, that's 150,000 likes. I don't know how much this one has. 116,000, 178,000. And you can see that's one of the pictures where she does look very light-skinned. However, there's other images of her out there, which is closer to how she looks in this movie, which is fairly dark-skinned. But these people, they do not care. It doesn't matter that she's Hawaiian. It doesn't matter that she's half Polynesian.
They cast native Hawaiians. They cast native Hawaiians. And the wackos are still pissed. It's amazing. Wouldn't it be incredible if they tank this movie? I don't think they will. I think it'll make $1 billion. But imagine if they came out and attacked Disney and just sank this movie because of their lunacy. That would be hilarious. I think that'd be super funny. Tim Allen is in the chat. Ahoy! Permission to come aboard granted, sir. Always granted, never required. Tim Allen says, my kids were a fan of the cartoon. I could care less. I want old school Hanna-Barbera cartoon like Herculoids. I don't remember Herculoids.
These are the people that were saying you are racist if you have a problem with Black Little Mermaid. That's important. We need that type of representation. If you have a problem with Snow White, a character literally described for the color of her skin, being played by a Latina person, you're racist. We need this representation. Now, when it's something like this, they're showing, oh, wait, I guess that color really does matter to us. Now, for me, I'm all about them being as accurate to the character as possible. But I was said that that's racist. That's racist to do that. You can't do those things. What about representation for lighter-skinned people who live in Hawaii? Shouldn't we see that on the big screen too? Isn't that important? According to all of these people out there, no. That's not. You also have a handful of people saying that one character who disguised themselves in drag for the movie, who in one scene in the trailer is disguised as just a normal guy, that the reason they changed that, it's because Disney's scared of transphobes. Erasing Bleakley's drag and substituting for...
Oh my God, first world problems, am I right? Am I right or am I right? Oh my God. I mean, it's such a cliche, but it just seems appropriate. Like, get a life. We just have it too good. We just have it way too good in this civilization. That's why these wackos have the time to go on the internet and bitch about this.
Human suits is bad. because Disney wants to appease transphobes. This has 140,000 likes. This is what happens for Disney when these are the types of people that you appeal to constantly, and you're constantly telling them how important it is for this and how important it is for that. This is what the fan base is all about that you have garnered now. So although I would say for the vast majority of posts out there, people were enjoying this live action trailer, there's a handful of loud people who say, oh, black Little Mermaid, that's fine. Latina Snow White, that's fine. Black Snape, that's fine. But hold up. You know, people who are born and raised in Hawaii, people who are half Polynesian, that's a little too light-skinned for me. That's not okay. It's weird. It's almost like color matters when you want it to matter, but when you don't want it to matter, then all of a sudden it doesn't mean anything. It's all about representation, the best person for the role. It's all bullshit. So now these people are freaking the fuck out, even though they had no problem with a lot of these other castings out there. As someone who doesn't care about this movie, I don't care. I'm probably not going to see the live action. I never saw the animated movie. It is what it is. But I've always said that I think the casting should be as close as possible to the way these characters are described in books or the way they're portrayed in animated movies, things like this. But I was called racist for that. I don't know what you'd call these attacks on the newest Lilo and Stitch controversy. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.
Hat tip Ryan Cannell, the angriest man on the internet. Fu Man Bliss is what's wrong with these people. Left-wing activism is a disease. It's a disease. It's a mental illness. Tom is in the chat. Ahoy, Tom. Welcome aboard, sir. Tim Allen says, you mentioned, Tim Allen, you've been better, been worse. Hopefully we can lift your spirits today on the Captain's Cast. And he says, Disney is a train wreck anymore. Those that now run the company don't have the same vision that Walt did, which was to entertain folks. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think that they're just a corporation, and they are just laundering. They're just laundering content. That's all they do. They just run it through the algorithm wood chipper. There's just more content. In fact, there's an interesting think piece on That Park Place. Mr. Producer, can I grab that? Do I have that piece? That one's not in a paywall, right? Okay, good. Very good. All right. Share screen. Here we go. So, hat tip, That Park Place by L.W. Ghost. First, do no harm. The bare minimum oath all Disney Imagineers should take, but no longer do. An editorial by L.W. Ghost. Quote, hang on. I've spent the last hour or so listening to some wonderful music from the past, not the Mozart kind of past, but the Epcot past. And it made me think more than just warm, nostalgic, happy thoughts of good times back in those yesteryear decades called the 1980s, which I know many of you were not blessed to be around in. In the player above, you'll find a restoration of all 1 hour and 25 minutes. Let me, Mr. Producer, let's move the Captain's visage if we can. You'll find a restoration of 1 hour and 25 minutes. Can I get rid of that ad? Let's see if I can. Of soundtracks, musical accents, and other audio cues from the original World of Motion that opened with Epcot and Future World, including everything from its representation in the collage of music that played at the front gate to the hilarious Gary Owens narration tracks and more. Listening, as I said, brought back memories, but more. Do we think that any of the modern and improved attractions at Disney in the Bob Iger era ever would have put an hour and a half of finished tracks together for any of their shows, not counting, of course, the costly rehearsal, adaptation, composition, and other time is money involved? One is amazed at the range of musical ability and style. Everything from banjos and kazoos to symphonic soaring cinematic tracks to jazz and pop and rock and choral work. It reminds you of some of the astounding musicians who can adapt to any style, anytime. But the overall thought that then comes to mind is this. Okay, if you as managers and Disney Imagineers think something's dated or dull or out of touch with what you think your modern audience is all about, swell. You're entitled to your opinion. But that gives you a creative variation on the classic medical commandment. First, do no harm. That would be from the Hippocratic Oath, would it not? Unless I've missed my guess. In short, it isn't good enough to just replace something you like and think works. It has to not just equal the creations of past in storytelling, emotion, humor, style, and atmosphere. It has to be better. Cough button. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Tiana's Swamp, and you, Dune Buggies, former Rivers of America, and at you, Epcot Mall Fountain Replacement, and all the rest of the, quote, innovations these people are pushing into our lives with a kind of arrogance and presumption that astounds even the most casual fan. If it isn't better than the past, how dare you harm that past? And would you even know better if it smacked you in the face? Is your political social motivation so strong that the whole concept of better is taken away from art and given over to purpose? The great showman and movie mogul Sam Goldwyn said it best, quote, "If you want to send a message, call Western Union," close quote. Anyhow, for those who remember World of Motion as it once was, listen and enjoy. For those who never experienced it, try to imagine the amount of effort that went into the artistic, visual, animatronic, and other elements when the music by itself was so damn good. And for those who might say of our coverage of the destruction of the brand of Walt Disney Imagineering that we whine too much, or we're unable to move with the times, or that it isn't a big deal, is it such a ridiculous request we make that they make something better before they remove something that was so very, very wonderful? Close quote for a second. See, this is the brilliant point that I wanted to highlight here, because what he's saying is, this is what Disney does. They go and they dig up, they IP mine. They IP mine their own things. They IP mine Star Wars. They IP mine Indiana Jones and Marvel and all of this content. And they're so concerned with whether they can with whether they could replace all those things that they never stop to consider whether they should. They think they're so, it's like Rings of Power. They think they're so much better than Tolkien, or at least they think they're as good as Tolkien, and that they can write The Lord of the Rings for a modern audience. And what L.W. Ghost is saying in this piece is a creative should only ever attempt such a feat if they believe they can make it better, which, of course, is an exercise in arrogance. But if they're not confident that they can make it better, then why not leave it alone? First, do no harm. Open quote, "Do no harm, do better, or become only a fond memory of the past." That's the only choice for the Disney parks and experiences. And they have not. As a certain old knight in a cave full of cups put it best, chosen wisely. Enjoy the music and memories and dare to dream of a future worth dreaming and doing. And let me just play just a little bit of the pieces that he selected. Yeah, so check it out. So that is L.W. Ghost's interesting piece about First, do no harm, Disney. And that's really the problem with all of these remakes. They're doing grave harm. They are failing to improve upon the original and damaging the memory of the original. Snow White is about to be one of the most... That's going to be such a disaster, man. It's going to be such a disaster. Fuman Blue. What do you mean? He writes really good, so his inability to read is jarring. Who would that be? Certainly not me. I'm an excellent reader. I'm a really good reader. I read super good. Fu Man Blue says, the new oath, by all that I hold highest, I promise my patients competence, integrity, candor, personal commitment to their best interest, compassion and absolute discretion, and confidentiality. Contrary to popular belief, the Hippocratic Oath is not required by most modern medical schools. I believe that. Fascinating, isn't it? Now, I thought we would take a look at Anthony Mackie's comments on masculinity. It's time to pivot. Mr. Producer. So he was on he's on the Pivot podcast, I think it's called. Seriously. Yes, it is. It's The Pivot. It's the name of the podcast. Desktop audio. So I'm just going to play what he said. So here we go.
But that's real. Yeah. That's where we came from. I keep my boys humble. Like, my boys have never had a pair of Jordans. My boys don't do all that internet fly shit. I'm like, your kids. And no, I don't give a fuck. I could be the biggest star in the world. Do not let me catch you being stupid. Mm-hmm.
See, the thing about Anthony Mackie is, I think that he is a down-to-earth guy. I seriously do. I think he's just, and I even, as dumb as his comments are sometimes, I think they come from an honest place. I think he's a grounded guy, even if he has terrible takes at times. I respect that. I do. The interesting thing about Captain America, Captain Mothman, Brave New World, the problem is the premise of the film. The problem is the stolen valor of the film. The problem is just the shitty plot. I don't think Anthony Mackie's the problem in that film. I never did. He's great as Falcon. He's a good actor. I loved him in Twisted Metal. He's got some good credits. He was in the wrong vehicle. That's all it is. It's nothing personal. He's just in the wrong vehicle. He did give it his best. I will say he gave it his best, but the material he was working with was crap. Roll tape.
Do not. And my oldest gets it. My 15-year-old, he tells the other ones, he's like, yo, don't make dad mad. Because once you get one that's right, he's going to straighten the other ones out. Mm-hmm. So it's just that thing of, in the past 20 years, we've been living through the death of the American male. They have literally killed masculinity in our homes and our communities, for one reason or another.
He's absolutely right about this, but he also is pandering to the people that killed it. I don't think... I'm curious to see how he would respond to blowback from this. We'll keep a sharp eye on it. Don't you doubt it, chat. However, when he says things like Captain America should not be associated with America, he is literally parroting the exact bullshit that resulted in what he is lamenting here. He is participating in the brainwashing of Americans to be ashamed of America. For Europeans to be ashamed of being European. For Western civilization to be ashamed of itself. That same mentality is what has taught men and boys to be ashamed of being men and boys. So his problem is he's playing into their hands at the very same time this is so typical. It's so typical of Hollywood actors. They participate in the destruction of these things, and then they whine about it. They whine about how we got here after they helped us get here.
But I raised my boys to be young men. And however you feel about that, you feel about that. Right. But
See, right there. That little, I agree with what he's saying. Don't get me wrong. I agree wholeheartedly with what he's saying, but notice the little qualifier he put there. However you feel about that is how you feel about that. That's a way of preemptively defending himself against the wackos. That's his way of saying, like, oh, I don't want to offend you. Or, like, oh, you're entitled to disagree with me, which is a way of placating the exact people, that the activists, the crazies, that have demonized and destroyed masculinity in the country. So I wish that he would have just said that without that stupid qualifier. Just being like, I teach, like roll it back just a couple seconds, Mr. Producer.
And male. They have literally killed masculinity in our homes and our communities for one reason or another. But I raised my boys to be young men.
Stop. Imagine if he just left a pause there. Imagine if he just said, I raise my boys to be young men. And just let it hang in the air. But he can't do that. He can't do that because he's also part of the system that destroyed it. So he has to say this.
And however you feel about that, you feel about that. Right. But my boys will always be respectful. They will always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. No, sir, no, ma'am. They will always say thank you. They will always open the door for a lady. They will always make sure that their mother is taken care and provided for. They will always be men. And that's always, since they were 2 years old. Every time I left for a job, I tell my 15-year-old, you're the man of the house. You make sure these doors are locked every night, this alarm is on, you text me or you call me every night before you go to bed and you wake up.
I love that.
I think that's just brilliant. But one of the things that strikes me about it is I think that what we have really abandoned in our modern society is responsibility. Like responsibility for ourselves, for our families and communities. Everybody looks to someone else to take care of those things. A politician or a law or something like that. And the reality is your first responsibility is yourself to take responsibility for those things, which is why I love that he's teaching that's how people used to be raised. They used to be raised to take responsibility for things. And he's saying that we need that back.
Because we're men. If I'm not there to protect, he got to be there to protect. Because you can have all the money in the world, motherfucker climb through the window, that money means nothing. Right. You can have all the celebrity in the world, motherfucker jump through the door, that celebrity means nothing. Yeah. So you got to have a little guard in there, And so for me, it's always that idea of American masculinity is very different. You feel it when you go to Europe. Like you see these, and you're like, could bust your ass, boy. You know what I mean?
This is incredible, though. Again, I agree with him. But then he's saying American masculinity is just different. Do you see, Mr. Mackie, why we were upset when you also said that Captain America should not represent America? How do you think we got here? Stupid comments like that is exactly how we got here. So at the same time, I agree with him, and I think it's great that he said this. I hope he doesn't bitch out and walk it back when the wackos come for him. At the same time, he seems to fail to understand that he's part of what created this exact problem.
You know what I'm saying? You go to Europe.
Tight-ass pants.
Yeah, tight-ass pants. Boy, you better lotion your ankles. Like, you
your
feel
ankles.
it when you go to Europe. Even when I was just in Kenya, and I was walking around, I'm like, yeah. Dude was like, you ain't from here. Like, nah. Yeah, I could tell. I know you can. I could tell I ain't from here. You know what I mean? It's just that American male masculinity is something I think is very important for boys. Because now our little boys are afraid to fail, so they don't try.
What? But here's my question. What is American masculinity? Why is it different? If it is. Because of American values, Mr. Mackie. American values. What are American values? Well, aside from the very simple statements in the founding documents, our Declaration of Ideals, it's a individual, it is self-reliance. It is adventurism. It is a pioneering spirit. It is the belief that the sovereignty of the individual, the sovereignty of the family, and the sovereignty of the community is all that is necessary to organize a society and to achieve great things. It's confidence. It's moral footing. It's moral certitude. It's virtue. It's virtue. You know, he talks about making sure your mother is taken care of, making sure your home is protected, making sure you're respectful. You know, you open the door for ladies, you show up in the world as a force for good. Yes. Yes, that's what American values are. That's what Captain America represents in the name America. That's what it represents. That's why it's different. And that's why it is amazing and awesome that you had these great things to say, and why it is also unacceptable that you said to a foreign audience that Captain America should not represent America. You're not getting out from under that one. Fu Man Blue says he's at the point where he has to speak up about it, but won't assign the blame because he's scared. Oh, yeah, he won't say who is responsible for this, will he? He won't say that. Fu Man Blue says, there was a time I would have said he's weak for not pointing out the one that are to blame, but today, Tim Allen says the Steve Rogers cap of the 80s and before were the definition of masculinity. Yeah, I mean, I think the Steve Rogers character in the MCU is a very excellent masculine role model. I think I think that most of the masculine characters in the MCU phases 1 through 3 were really good and really well represented. And, well, I will say that just leaving aside the other problems with Captain America Brave New World, Anthony Mackie shows up in the film with confidence and leadership and embodies those values. He does. That's not the problem with the film. That's included in my score, by the way. That's why it's a 4 out of 10 and not a 1 out of 10. Yeah, he's definitely, it's a mixed bag, Tim Allen, with Anthony Mackie. He kind of talks out of both sides of his mouth, and I think that's kind of my point here. I mean, I'm giving credit where it's due. I agree with him. What he's saying here, I agree with him. I think it's unfortunate that he fails to understand he's also contributing to the very thing he's unhappy about.
You know what I mean? When we were kids, we did tackle drills. We would run face first into each other.
We just talked about it. Shooting they shot.
I just, and when I was watching this, I was like, this guy looks so familiar. And then I remember, this is the guy who played Stringer Bell in The Wire. And he was one of the most cold-blooded characters in that show. It's hard to, you can't unsee it. It's like King Joffrey. It's like, oh my God, it's Stringer Bell.
Dudes don't even talk to a woman face to face no more.
They don't know how no more. Because, women they are so mean and so angry.
How is he going to get away with this? How is he going to get away with this? Dude, the land whales are going to be out for him. Oh, man, he's going to... I don't know. I feel like he's going to bring some heat on himself for this.
Bruh, I saw this. My nephew was talking to this girl. Oh, my God, dude, she just...
Do you think Mackie voted for Trump? Do you think he voted for Team Orange? I'm not saying I think he did. It's possible. I'm saying it's possible.
Killed him. I mean, he was like, "Excuse me, how you doing?" She goes, "Ugh." How do you come back from that?
No, he's talking.
Just killed him. I mean, he was like, "Excuse me, you was talking to this girl." Oh my God, dude, she just killed him. I mean, he was like, "Excuse me, how you doing?" She goes, "Ugh." How do you come back from that?
So fucked up, man.
Yo, he just walked over to me. I gave him his beer. I was like, "There you go, bro." That didn't happen. That didn't happen.
So his nephew that's rough. His nephew approached a girl and didn't go well. Mr. Producer, a round of applause. Credit where it's due. Terrible take on Captain America representing America, but a very good take on the problem. The problem with that, I mean, he's saying masculinity, American masculinity, is under assault. Well, that goes hand in hand with America being under assault. That's the problem. Tom says, not Stringer Bell. That was Idris Elba. It was? Oh, you're right. So then, who am I looking at? I don't recognize him. All right, well, whatever. Okay, I got that wrong. Never mind. Stringer Bell was Idris. Was it Idris Elba? It's been a long time since I saw that show. My apologies, chat. Idris Elba. Yeah, I know. I gathered that. Gathered that, Tom. He voted for the drunken camel. He probably did. It's too much to hope, you know. And voting against his own... Look, if you voted for the camel, then you're voting for exactly what he's worried about. Like, if he voted for the camel, he is voting for the end of masculinity in America. That's what, not because she's a woman, because of what she stands for. And because she's a loser. The camel. You know, Kamala. Someone asked me, could you ever vote for Kamala? And I said, no, I could never, ever vote for her. Because she's a woman? I said, no, because she's a loser. Because she's a fucking loser. That's why. She's not good at anything. She's a truly stupid human being. She's accomplished absolutely nothing and does the exact reverse opposite of accomplishing things. I could never vote for a loser like that. And I don't understand how anyone could. That's just me, though. So anyway, what else? What else do we have in the stack of stuff? Oh, yes. So speaking of Captain Not America, I'm sorry, Anthony Mackie. You're not Captain America. It just isn't. You just aren't. Oh, wait. Well, first, actually, he did say one other thing, though. He did say one other thing I wanted to cover real quick. Let me grab this. Share screen. This one.
I never thought they was going to give me Captain America. We had a perfectly good Captain America in the role doing a great job. Like, you know what I mean?
I would agree. I would agree with that statement.
So why me? You know, and that was one of the hardest parts. I never saw it happening, so when it happened, I was in shock. But then I got afraid. So then I had to lean on those teachers and those people around me who got me to that point. It was hard because I never figured out, and I still haven't figured out, what is there to convince people of. And that's why I say we're doing our kids a disservice. Like, I went to all those programs. I did all those movies. Everybody knows my resume. So who the f are you to question if I can do this? If you go to a hospital and a doctor has 100 successful surgeries and you're going in for that surgery, what you gonna say? I don't know if you can do this one, bro. You might, your hand looking a little shaky. No, I'm a professional. I'm a master of my craft. I did the math. I put in 10,750 hours of training before I had a job. So if you ask, anybody that makes you a master of your craft.
So what he's saying right there, he's talking about the professional mindset. I don't think he's really talking towards the audience. He's not talking about the audience. He's talking about, in my view, he's talking about industry professionals, and he's talking really about the inner voice, the inner critic. And what I found interesting about that is a classic element of the professional mindset right there, which is he felt imposter syndrome, right? Who am I? Am I ready for this? Can I do this? And then he said, now, wait a minute. I put in the hours. I perfected my craft. I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to put my work into this. So I just thought it was a sign of that is the professional mindset. You're going to take criticism. You're going to take the slings and arrows, and you move forward anyway. Yes, Captain Falcon. Yeah, he's not Captain America. It doesn't change. He says, I can do this. Well, sure he can. His performance in the film was good. So, yeah, I agree with him. The problem is he's not Captain America, and that has nothing to do with him personally. That's just the reality of that character, to me, is not interesting if he's played by any other actor. I don't want to see Bucky Barnes as Captain America. I don't want to see Tom Walker as Captain America. I either want to see Steve Rogers as Captain America, or I don't want to see Captain America. That's just how I feel about it. That has nothing to do with Anthony Mackie. I think it's sad that he doesn't see that he's a pawn, though, because he says, I never thought they'd give it to me. Well, they wouldn't have. They wouldn't have, if not for identity politics. That's why they did it. That's why they made him Captain America, because of the narrative that we need a black Captain America and that this racist country needs to be educated. All the nonsense they believe. That's why they did it. They didn't do it because they thought that recasting Captain America was going to make them $1 billion. They did it because they wanted to pander to a narrative. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with Anthony Mackie as a professional or as an actor. He's proven himself there. Yeah, exactly, Anthony Timmons. Steve Rogers, Captain America. Let me test something real quick. I was seeing if I could integrate. Look at that, the Restream chat. It populates. It looks like crap, though. I'm experimenting with integrating the chat, but I want to get it so it's like a clear display, and that just looks like crap, so I'm not doing that. Not doing it. But let me see. Let me try something else since I'm on the subject. Because I'm using Restream with OBS Studio, and I love the sound quality. I actually really like a lot running it this way. But I miss being able to highlight chats. So I'm trying to see if there's a way I can do that. Yeah, it just doesn't really allow me. Can I embed the chat? Can I launch the chat? No, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. I can embed it, but it just doesn't. One day, we will have advanced technology. What else is in the stack of stuff? Oh, that's right. Yes, we're going to do How It Should Have Ended. Tim Allen says, in the 80s, Marvel Comics did replace Steve Rogers as Captain America. Also in the 70s, Steve Rogers gave up being Cap and went to the moniker Nomad. Yeah, I'm aware of all that. I'm aware that in the comics he did. I just don't care. I just don't care. If, Miles Morales is a good character. He does okay as Spider-Man. I mostly enjoyed the Spider-Verse films. I think he's fine. He's likable. He's a good character to embody the morals of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. But he's not Peter Parker. Peter Parker is the character I like. That's the character I like. I just don't really care. I don't care if Miles Morales is as good or better than or not as good as. I don't care. That's irrelevant to me. I'm not interested in that character. And that's the problem with this whole conversation. The problem with the conversation is there is an implication that you have to embrace Sam Wilson as Captain America, or there's something wrong with you. It's like, no, there isn't. I don't have to embrace anything. I don't have to embrace Captain America. I don't even have to like that character, but I do. So they move the goalpost, and then they complain about how we feel about it. Well, too bad. That's just too bad. Dang it. Is that the wrong? I posted the wrong link, Mr. Producer. Hang on, I got it. I'll find it in the stack of stuff. Yeah, we're looking for Brave New World, How It Should Have Ended. I haven't seen this, and I thought I'd watch it with you.
Let me finish my work. I'm afraid I can't.
Here we go. Hopefully, I hope this is really good. I do. How It Should Have Ended is sometimes it can be hit or miss. Sometimes it's freaking genius. Okay, here we go.
Let me finish my work. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Please don't be boring! Maybe you should take your own advice.
How's that then? How about now?
It's so boring!
Too boring for you? Who's boring now? I didn't calculate new Falcon using Falcon guns. I got you, sucker!
You know, as much as I like Infinity War, this is my problem with Infinity War. There's only like one character using a gun, and that's Bucky. There's no other characters using a gun in like a battlefield. It's like a medieval war with like spears. So there's just a moment in that movie where I'm suddenly like taken out of it. I'm like, why am I watching all these characters with like spears, you know, and like furs, you know, like fighting all these aliens? Why isn't this? Why not just deploy the United States military? Why not have the Navy SEALs fight these things? Why is it all of these traditional tribal Wakandans doing it? Sometimes superhero stuff just goes off the reservation, okay?
Sam, I have a super important mission for you. You want me to make the new Avengers now? No, I need you to take my heart medicine to the smartest person you know and find out if it's got anything bad in it.
You need me to have your pills checked?
Yes. My dealer just so happens to be a man I've been holding prisoner for many years.
Your dealer, sir?
And he's also my prisoner.
All right.
I just had the thought, you know, maybe I shouldn't trust this guy. Maybe
Do you see the problem with this movie? Among many, do you see the problem with this movie? I love how it says gamma, but it's crossed out and it says heart pills. Gamma pills. It's gamma pills.
I shouldn't take pills from that man.
Yeah,
Because he's in prison.
Mm-hmm.
And because I put him there.
That makes sense.
So is there anyone you can trust? Are there any known Avengers scientists available right now?
Yeah, I think I know a guy.
Save me.
Okay.
Save me from my pills, Sam.
Yes, sir.
Ow! Watch it!
Sorry, I didn't see you there. Yeah, so this heart medicine is...
Wait for it.
What? Okay, go. Yeah, so this heart medicine is coated with this...
Because in the beginning of the movie, he flies down so fast that like the shockwave comes, he says, wait for it, and the shockwave blows down all of his enemies. Because I'm trying to figure out what this was. Here we
What? Okay, go. Yeah, so this heart medicine is coated with this gamma stuff that will turn you into a Hulk. Wow, it's a good thing I brought them to you then. Yeah, it's definitely in my area of expertise. Who's been taking these? President Ross. What? Wow, now it's even closer to home. Maybe I should get directly involved. Nah. I could be a huge help. Maybe even the lead character. So do you actually know a cure or what? Yeah, I've learned how to make this inhibitor thing that keeps me from hulking out. I talked about it with She-Hulk. That's a thing now? That's a thing now. All right, cool. Give me one of those and I'll just take it back to the president. I think I should just get involved. No, that's okay. What if my story could bring lots of closure to years of awkward drama? Maybe even bring back my old girlfriend again. Nah, she'd probably just be behind some glass and make people question her authenticity or something. I'm getting involved.
One Hulk inhibitor later.
So the bad guy I imprisoned and was also forcing to make my health medication was actually trying to turn me into a monster. Thanks for figuring that out, Hulk. And now that we both have different faces, maybe we can also begin to forgive and move on. Even though I should probably be in jail. Yeah, whatever. All right, now that pointless story is out of the way, we can all get back to our normal, everyday...
Everyone get out of here!
What a brave new world this is.
Should have taken the serum.
Hat tip, how it should have ended. It gets me thinking about Invincible. So I'm watching this show, Invincible, right? And I really loved the first season. I really loved the second season. And I mostly had, pretty positive feelings about it, okay? But the weird thing is, the second season really pissed me off because they did about 3 episodes and they went on this hiatus for 6 months. And then they trickled out the last few episodes. And so it was bizarre. It was like watching a season over the course of a year with this massive break. It just was super weird. And it really turned me off on the show. And so I didn't even know that the show was out. Then I see it trending on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff. And I'm like, wow, there's a whole 3rd season of Invincible. It's already out. So I'll watch it and I'll review it. Everyone seems to like it. So I'm going to watch it, review it, etc. And cough button. Hang on, cough button. I mean, I'm going to save a lot of my thoughts for my review, but suffice it to say, I have complicated feelings about it because while I love the character of Mark Grayson and I love the animation, I like the overall thematic element that it's not just a deconstruction of superheroes. It's a little bit that. It's more like, what if we did superheroes the way we really want to do superheroes is kind of the feeling I get from the show. It's based on the Robert Kirkman novel, graphic novel. But it takes the concept of superheroes mostly pretty seriously, and it is meant to be a true comic book story. It is meant to be it's not like The Watchmen, where it's just meant to kind of deconstruct the characters, or like The Boys, where it's making fun of the concepts of superheroes, or it's just being a dystopia. It's meant to be a serious superhero drama. And I appreciate that about it. And there are some pretty positive thematic elements in it, such as Mark Grayson is very committed to being a good person, not killing people, trying to hold himself to a high standard, etc., etc. Still, something about the show never sits right with me. Something never sits right. And I wasn't even consciously aware of this for a long time, but somebody I know, IRL, pointed out to me, he said to me, I don't like this show because there's just, I'm not really wild about it. That's what he said. He said, I'm not really wild about this show, Invincible. And I said, why? What don't you like about it? And he said something that made it click in my mind. He said, there's just no hope. There's just no hope. And I thought, Well, I said, actually, you are exactly right about that. Like, you're exactly right about it. That's the problem with the show. I couldn't quite put my finger on it before, but like the show is bleak. It's extremely bleak. But on paper, it's not. Like on paper, Mark Grayson, the main character, the titular Invincible, he wins. Like he wins battles, he saves the planet, he rescues people, he embodies good moral ideals. So on paper, it's positive and aspirational and all that good stuff. And yet, why is it so bleak all the time? And one thing he pointed out was that there's always a villain that's stronger than Mark Grayson. There's always there. It doesn't matter how many villains he defeats. It doesn't matter how many travesties he averts. There just always is gonna be a villain that just beats his ass and beats everyone's ass and just trashes the world. And there's nothing you can do. And there's just no hope. And it's just been turning over in my mind. And what I would say is, I feel like Invincible is the Game of Thrones of superhero stories. It's like it's the nihilistic dystopian version of a sincere superhero story. That's all I can. And somehow the show is always kind of depressing. It's always kind of bleak and depressing. No matter whether or not Mark wins, it's always depressing somehow. Two things I think are a problem in this show. Number one is the scaling of the powers. It's strange to me because basically Mark Grayson has the powers roughly of Superman. He's roughly as powerful as Superman. Not quite, but basically he's a Kryptonian, like for all intents and purposes. Yet, even when the show establishes that he's at his peak, he's been training really hard, he's stronger than ever, somehow every single time he's in a battle with a villain, he just gets his ass kicked. He just gets fucked up and almost killed every single time. And there's something about that doesn't seem grounded in the show. There's something like, I enjoy the fact that he's vulnerable. I actually think that's one of the problems with Superman. Superman is so indestructible that you can't even really envision anything that could hurt him. So I like the fact that something strong enough can hurt him. But it's gone too far the other direction, but it's not enjoyable when like everything he just gets killed, almost killed every single time. And the last two episodes of the most recent season were such an orgy of absolute, like literally it was as if the show wanted to put Zack Snyder in Man of Steel, like that orgy of destruction at the end of Man of Steel. It's like this show deliberately said, we're going to 10 times that. We are going to 10x that and do it twice. That's basically what they did. The last two episodes back to back, they just 10x expanded the orgy of destruction in Man of Steel. And it was bleak. It was bleak and depressing and demoralizing, and it's fascinating. It's a fascinating dynamic. I'll have to get into it more. Fu Man Blue says, Kid Omni-Man. Terrible name, bro. I don't know that they don't ever refer to him as Kid Omni-Man. I think they maybe once he did. But I like Oliver. You're referring to the character of Oliver. I like Oliver as a kind of sidekick. Fu Man Blue saying the little purple boy, that would be Oliver. He doesn't understand why he can't kill. That's going to become a big problem. Yeah, it's interesting how it plays out. It's very interesting how it plays out. I like the show a lot, but it's also kind of miserable. I like it in the same way I like House of the Dragon. I like it in the same way that I like Game of Thrones. I like it, but I don't love it because at the end of the day, it's kind of nihilistic and dystopian no matter what you do. And I think one of the problems with Invincible that makes it this way, one of the reasons why it's so dystopian, maybe unintentionally, I don't know. It takes the idea of superheroes very seriously, right? Like superheroes are not just a joke or a parody in the show. It's not just a deconstruction. The show is not telling you that superheroes are bad, or good, so to speak. They're just telling you a superhero story. But the problem is they introduce so many just random, absolutely random, out of nowhere, crazy, bizarre threats to the world all the time that it has the effect of becoming sort of a parody. It's like a kind of unintentional parody. It's like, oh, look, an army of aliens just came out of an interdimensional portal. And it's not even like it's a big deal in the world. It's like, oh, it just happened. This happens. It's a Wednesday. It's a day ending in Y. So alien army coming out of an interdimensional portal. So there's a kind of glib superficiality to the threats that Mark faces, while at the same time, they're serious. Like, this could end the world. This could end the world today. And I think that it's like they oversaturate the story with problems, which is an odd thing for a storyteller to say. But I think they oversaturate the plot with crazy world-ending problems. It would be sort of like if Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, every single episode, he was fighting an alien army that's going to end the world, followed by a super genius who's found out how he can destroy him and has a drone army and is going to end the world, followed by a time traveler who brings him to the future where an alternate version of him ended the world, followed by an episode where he fights 7 Supermen from other worlds who ended their worlds and have come to end him and his world. That's what the show's like. Every single episode, there is a world-ending catastrophe. Millions of people get killed. And it's like, oh, well, on to the next one. There's just something about that that's like demoralizing, and it strips the show of its weight, honestly. Mr. Producer, you might as well I'll just throw this into the review. We'll just make this the review. Why not? I basically just said all the things. So anyway, Tim Allen says, I like how magic is Superman's weakness. So this is what I think is really good about Invincible. In Invincible, the Viltrumites, which are they're almost exactly the equivalent of Kryptonians. The only thing they don't have is the laser eyes and the freezing breath. They don't have freezing breath or laser eyes. But everything else Superman can do, they can do, right? And it's just very simple. It's just very simple. A Viltrumite is physically strong enough to beat another Viltrumite to death. That's basically, and any super being that is roughly at that power level can do enough damage to beat a Viltrumite and break their bones, whatever. They can be killed, basically. So, and I think that is exactly how Superman should be. It should be very much the same way. If Zod, and I actually think whether or not you agree with this happening in the movie, I like the fact that Superman was able to snap Zod's neck, because it implies that a Kryptonian is strong enough to kill a Kryptonian. That makes sense to me. That makes a lot. That's how I think it should be. It should just be if Superman is fighting an enemy of equivalent or close to equivalent strength, they can hurt him. They can break his bones, beat him up bad, Which is partly why I liked how in the James Gunn trailer, he looks like he's taken some damage, which implies, right, that he's actually vulnerable in some way. Speaking of that, James Gunn's Superman is not looking good, folks. It's not looking good. Might as well just pivot to that story for a moment. Mr. Producer, take us over to Bounding into Comics. Hat tip, Bounding into Comics. And yes, dear Staffhitty, I will be watching Solo Leveling. I started the first episode, so I will get into it. I will get into Solo Leveling. And I'll see if I can sneak in a few Stargate SG-1 episodes for you, Fu Man Blue. Alleged early reaction gives Superman a decent score, but ranks it below Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad. Hat tip J.B. Augustine of Bounding into Comics. The words bad and terrible get thrown around when it comes to James Gunn's Superman, at least by one source. It doesn't bode well for the buzz, but the film is not out until July, so there's time for reactions to turn around. I do, close quote for a second, I do love Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, at least so far. We'll see how it actually shakes out. Quote, a reaction relayed to a noteworthy scooper gives the reboot a decent, though mitigated score. My Time to Shine Hello spoke to someone who has seen Superman, probably at a test screening, and they ranked it against Gunn's other superhero films and series. The unknown correspondent scored Superman a 7.5 out of 10, which isn't bad. Close quote for a second. I think that's bad. I think that's bad. This movie should not be a 7 out of 10. This should be a 9. This should be an 8 to 10 out of 10 is what we should be looking at here. But this should be an 8 or a 9 film. And honestly, I don't even know how you screw it up. How do you even screw up Superman? All the postmortems on the Zack Snyderverse have been done. All that people love about the Christopher Reeve Superman is known. Everything that there is to be discussed about the successes and failures of the DCU, everything that has been discussed about the successes and failures of the various Superman films, it's all out there. Everything is known at this point. We know why The Flash failed. We know why Shazam failed. We know why Black Adam failed. We know why Doctor Strange Mom failed. Everything has been explained, we've done the Snyder Cut. We did the freaking Snyder Cut. This is not rocket science. Superman, Lois Lane, Lex Luthor, that's it. That's the story. Truth, justice, the American way, hope, optimism. I think James Gunn is yet another Hollywood narcissist who is incapable of learning the obvious lessons of the past. Open quote. It comes in behind the Suicide Squad, which garnered a 9, and Peacemaker, which gets an 8. Creature Commandos, don't care, earned a 7.5. Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy on a descending scale, 9 for Volume 1, etc. ad infinitum. So what he's saying is that the ratings this person gave for Gunn's other superhero projects, you know, he put Guardians of the Galaxy as a 9 out of 10. I agree with that score, incidentally. Guardians of the Galaxy 7.5, I disagree. I think Guardians 3 is a 6 at best. Peacemaker, don't care. Suicide Squad, don't care. Creature Commandos, really don't care. So he's giving Superman 7.5. The article goes on, these scores are subjective and not great in Superman's case, but they aren't awful. James Gunn probably won't sing about them from the rooftops. It's an anonymous source that may not be legitimate. However, it's better buzz than his film has been generating elsewhere. Other aspects of Superman are being praised based on recent test screenings. By way of comic book movie, Portuguese language fan site DC da Despressão reports things to look forward to. There's Lois Lane, and, to the point, the special effects will be better than the trailer for one thing, and they heap praise on the cast. Rachel Brosnahan is funny and adorable as Lois Lane, close quote, that's a good sign, open quote, and they really like Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. That takeaway's growing louder, but he may have competition. As it's said, there will be surprise villains. Although no names are dropped, this could hint that the Bizarro rumor is true, or that there's more to the kaiju than we know. Jeez, there's a kaiju in this. You had to remind me. You had to remind me that trailer had a kaiju. It had 3 other superheroes. It had what else did it? It had the floating orb thing. Stuffed to the rafters with stuff. They say the story has heart and humor. That's a good sign. And with a tone similar to 2017's Wonder Woman and Guardians Volume 1. A good sign. But both films are highlights of their respective universes, the DCEU and the MCU, with high scores. So there you go. So it's looking rough. Okay. It's looking like we may be getting what I fear, which is a mediocre film. I think that's what we're going to get. I think we're going to get a mediocre Superman film, and this is not the era to have a mediocre entry in a superhero film. We're literally in the twilight of the grand spectacle superhero film. They just can't make anything else, can they? They can't make any new properties. I mean, John Wick is like one of the few other things that's being made that is popular. Tim Allen saying he's not liking the actor they chose to play Superman. That would be David Corenswet. I just don't like that name. Choose a stage name, man. This is why Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise, because his original name was not good. David Corenswet. To me, it sounds like sweating. To me, he doesn't have a Clark Kent look to him. I agree with you, Tim Allen. Actually, I take that back. I don't agree with you. I do think he has. I think he looks good as Clark Kent. I think he looks okay as Superman. But he's definitely discount Cavill. He's discount Cavill. Anthony Timmons says, I don't like James Gunn anyway. Well, who does, honestly? I mean, he's kind of a narcissistic prick. Okay, let's face it. Tim Allen says the actor looks more like the late teen version of Clark, and the movie should have been a Superboy film, which had cameos from members of the Legion of Superheroes. What DC could have done was had the All-Star Squadron movie or animation movie. Anthony Timmons says, Jesse Eisenberg was probably the worst Lex Luthor that I've ever seen. Jesse Eisenberg, I don't know which character I hate more. The Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor, which is the worst Lex Luthor by a mile, or the Jared Leto Joker, which is the worst Joker by a mile. But I don't know which one I hate more. No, that's not true. I know exactly which one. I hate the Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor more than I hate the Jared Leto Joker, which is saying something, folks. By the way, did you see the Joker portrayal in the State Farm commercial? Everyone's talking about this joke. It is a good portrayal. But the weird thing is, like, the narrative on this, if you don't know, State Farm had a commercial. And it was about, the whole shtick was, why would you settle for Bateman? Because they have Jason Bateman playing himself as Bateman. And he, you know what, Mr. Producer, just get it. Just get this commercial, Mr. Producer. Let's just go for it. I think it will speak for itself. It's entertaining enough. I have thoughts on this Joker character, though, so we'll get to that. We will get to that. Here it is. I think this is the one I need. Yeah, this is the one. Yes, share screen, Mr. Producer. This is a State Farm, it's a series of State Farm commercials all cut together.
Yo, the Joker.
As havoc continues across Gotham City, it seems our only hope is Batman.
Batman? Yeah, close enough. Bateman. Gotta tell you, the suit really bunches up in the old Batcave, if you know what I mean.
Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like getting Bateman when you need the protection of Batman.
Easy, Batemobile, not too fast, baby. Riddle me this. What is dusk? You don't have to answer in the form of a question. What is dawn?
You don't need to answer like that.
Do something, Bateman. Yeah, okay. Stop. Whoa, cat lady. Time out. Wow.
Nice fanny bag.
Thank you.
I am a huge fan of Jason Bateman. I really am. If you have not seen Ozark, Ozark is freaking brilliant. It's a brilliant show. And Bateman is great because he's just like that, but he's a cold-blooded psychopath. He is a cold-blooded SOB in the show, but he acts just like that while he's being cold-blooded and manipulative. So the premise is he is a accountant, a really damn good accountant who launders money for a Mexican drug cartel. And he is accidentally implicated in stealing from the cartel. He didn't really, but the cartel, his partner did, and they kill his partner, and they think that he was guilty in part of the scheme, you know? And the way he talks his way out of being killed by the cartel for stealing from them is he says, I will launder $11 million for you or some enormous amount with this new plan I have. And it's called and he just happened to see a brochure for vacationing in the Ozarks, and he's thinking on his feet, and he says, in the Ozarks. And they're like, the Ozarks? What the hell? And he said, oh, yeah. It's a huge vacation spot, and I can launder all this money for you. Yeah, it's going to work. And so he talks himself out of getting killed. But his problem is that now this lie that he's going to launder all this money through the Ozarks, he has to actually do it, and he doesn't know how he's going to do it. So he moves his whole family to the Ozarks, and that's the beginning of the story. And he is so freaking great as this character of Marty Byrde. And it's like Breaking Bad, but without the baggage of like Walter White not wanting anyone to know what he does. His whole family knows what he does, and they're in on it, basically. And Laura Linney plays his even more psychopathic wife, who helps him. It's a great show. It's a fantastic show, and he is so good at it.
Rude? What is love? All right. What isn't love, you know? Just toss it.
Not all protection's the same.
What is this love?
Just one. It's a long one. Dermatologist.
That's why you need the real deal.
Look out! That's Batman! Go home, Bateman. Do a podcast or something.
That's hurtful.
Citizens need help as vandalism spikes.
Never play with poison ivy.
Is it just me? Or is this kind of like a great Batman show? Is this like a great Batman show or what? I'm kind of enjoying this a lot. I'm like, make this a TV show.
Someone's a flirt.
Bateman, please.
Yeah, this is feeling much more Batman to me.
Are you serious, bro? When it comes to protection, you wouldn't settle for Bateman when there's Batman. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm.
Don't touch that.
Well, now I want to touch it more.
Okay, so here's the money shot.
Oh, boy. Party clown. Listen, if we're going to be roomies, no juggling, no magic, no balloon animals. I don't want any weird clown stuff, okay? Listen, if we're going to be...
This is... So, just in terms of the look, the visuals, this is an incredible Joker. I totally understand the internet hype here. He looks malevolent. You know, he kind of has the Jack Nicholson Joker look, but also looks scary and malevolent. And the laugh is great.
Oh, boy. Party clown. Listen, if we're going to be roomies, no juggling, no magic, no balloon animals.
So here, let me get back to that. Let me get that shot there. Yeah, so this is what the narrative online is about this portrayal of the Joker, right? The portray, everyone's saying, like, how is it that a freaking insurance commercial, an insurance commercial, is able to give us a better Joker than all the resources of the DCU? How the hell did an insurance commercial deliver a better Batman show than the whole damn DCU? It's not even, how is that even possible? With that being said, I will say that what's interesting to me about this commercial is this is the best. Like, this Joker is like, yes, this could be a movie Joker. Like, put this guy in a movie. This could be the movie Joker. I don't feel that way about the Riddler. I'm a little iffy on Two-Face. I'm a little iffy on the Two-Face one. Poison Ivy's cool. She can stay. I don't like this Riddler portrayal. It's a little too dopey for me. So I think that some of the conversation about this is a little overblown. Like, some of the conversation is a little over the top. But it's because this guy so absolutely nails the Joker, the look, the style. You know what's crazy? It's like they combined the animated Joker, the Heath Ledger Joker, and the Jack Nicholson Joker. It's like they put them all into one. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how they did it. It's like I would even say the old Adam West Batman series. There's even a little of that Joker in there. He really looks like a combination of all the best parts of all the Jokers to me. He's got the kind of malevolent, terrifying factor of the Heath Ledger Joker. He's got the vibe, the kind of mobster vibe of the Jack Nicholson Joker, and he's got the clown malevolence of the animated one. It's brilliant. It really is an impressive, and this is as far from the Jared Leto portrayal as you could possibly get. This is as far from the dumb, I don't see a grill on this Joker, and I'm grateful for that. But it is fascinating. It is a fascinating thing that this State Farm commercial, James Gunn, maybe you should ask State Farm to make a Superman commercial. Have you thought of that? You might want to consider it. Oh, what the hell, Mr. Producer? I think State Farm has earned it. I think they've earned it. I'm even going to put a like on the video. I'm going to regret this later. But I'll put a like on that video. Speaking of likes, if you're enjoying the Captain's Cast with your host, Captain Garrett of the Swords and Starships channel, put a like on that live stream. Share it out there. The more we can grow the live stream, the more I can justify continuing to do it. It's basically that simple. I love hanging out with everybody. But I need to do more videos. I really do. Okay, Fu Man Blue says, no DEI consultant firms working for the insurance commercial industry, I guess. You hit upon a very interesting point, Fu Man Blue. I wouldn't say it's anything quite so intentional. Like, I don't think that they set out deliberately to say, let's not muck this up with any DEI or woke nonsense. I think it's actually exactly kind of the reverse of that. It was unintentional. They simply set out to make a commercial that would make people think of Batman. That was, in my view, the guiding impetus of the whole commercial. The guiding principle of creating this commercial was, let's make a commercial that makes people think of Batman. And so quite unintentionally, it resulted in a really good Batman portrayal. Because everything I've been talking about, 111 episodes of this show, the Captain's Cast, 111 episodes. This is what it all comes down to. This is what I've been talking about. Why do I hate propaganda storytelling, which is what woke storytelling is? It's a form of propaganda storytelling. Why do I hate it? Why is The Message so bad? Because it fixes as the guiding principle of the creative process, it fixes as the guiding objective to present the message, which naturally is the wrong target. They're aiming for the wrong target. That's why that's why wokeness turns everything to shit, because it's simply aiming for the wrong target. It's aiming for preaching the message. It's aiming for activism. It's aiming for diversity and equity and inclusion. But the State Farm commercial wasn't aiming for those things. The State Farm commercial was aiming for Batman. That's it. It was aiming for the story. And it wasn't even aiming to be a good Batman story. It wasn't even aiming to be a real Batman story. It was aiming to simply make people think of Batman and look at how unintentionally and almost as if by accident they landed at this pretty brilliant portrayal of a Batman universe. It's crazy. It's like, because the primacy of the story was in its proper place as the objective. However silly the reason for that objective, however silly the reason for the project, that's all it is. The story was the fixed point of objective. Tell a good story, which in this case is tell a story about Bateman versus Batman, which is meant as an analogy for good car insurance versus bad car insurance, but that's it. You know what's kind of crazy too? What's the whole premise of the ad? The premise of the ad is Bateman, which is fake discount Batman, not real Batman, versus what? Real Batman. Do you see how, I guarantee you, none of this was conscious. None of this was in the conscious processes of the people that created this. No one involved in this project was sitting there thinking, we want this Joker to be embraced as a great portrayal of Joker. Nobody was thinking that. But they were thinking of, we want to compare a funny, fake, useless Batman versus a real Batman, which naturally, organically, without any effort whatsoever, fixed the goal in its proper place, and it resulted in the real Batman. So what does that tell you about creating films and novels and TV shows and adaptations and comic books? If your goal is to present the real Spider-Man, the real Superman, the real Daredevil, the real Captain America, what will naturally happen? What will naturally happen? It's a revelation. It's an absolute revelation. It's just a matter of targets. That's it. It's like a 5-degree shift. That's it. Think about this. If two planes take off from the same airport going in the same direction, let's just call it west. Two planes set off going west from New York City. But one plane is on a 5-degree different, hell, forget 5 degrees, a 1 degree different heading. Okay? 1 degree of difference, starting off in the same place. 1,000 miles later, they're going to be in totally different locations. That's how powerful setting the right target actually is. So the State Farm commercial, without even knowing it, simply set the correct target for storytelling, which is tell the story. Tell the story. And it's great. It's really funny, too. Bateman, I love Bateman. Oh, someone's a flirt. That's freaking hilarious, man. You couldn't hear it? No. I had my... Wait, what? The fact that they feel free enough to represent... Never mind, I'm not going to read that one. Julie was my favorite Catwoman ever, says Anthony Timmons. Mine is Michelle Pfeiffer. I think Michelle Pfeiffer was so damn good as Catwoman. It was that... I love that portrayal of Catwoman in the Tim Burton films. Stop Fury saying Julie Newmar was hot. Okay, you scared me, Fu Man Blue. I thought I had the video muted again, but no, I just misread it. By the way, you may have noticed in the background. I just knocked over my ship. And I can't even blame Mr. Producer because it was on camera and everyone saw me do it. So I can't even blame Mr. Producer for that. I'll laugh it up, Mr. Producer. I think we're evaluating second quarter bonuses soon. Anyway, I was going to say this right here is a diorama of Godzilla. That's Godzilla firing his blue fire into the sky. And this is the Akira class right here. Akira class starship. That is my favorite Starfleet ship design ever, I think, is the Akira class. I've always wanted a Star Trek TV series set aboard an Akira class starship. Yes, I know, Tim Allen. It's a tall ship is down. A tall ship is down. Okay. What, Mr. Producer, what else did we have in the stack of stuff? I know I have a lot to get to. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Okay, so Christopher Nolan news. We've got Christopher Nolan news. I thought I would pull this one up because I need to check where's the Rumble chat? Do I have the Rumble chat, Mr. Producer? Yes, there it is. Okay, good. Nothing in there right now. I don't even know why I go on Rumble. I need to focus on YouTube. I don't even have time for Rumble, but whatever. Diverse portfolio is the idea. Now, Hat Tip Comic Book News, Will Harrington over there has an interesting scoop for us. Share screen. First look at Tom Holland in Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Now, I'm going to tell you something, chat. I really desperately want to allow myself to get super excited for this. I desperately want to allow myself to get excited for this movie. I really do. The Odyssey is one of my favorite tales of all time. It is just the made-for-TV one in the 90s with Armand Assante was awesome. I loved it. I watched it multiple times. It was like my favorite thing. Why the hell is Verbo advertising to me? I never go to Verbo. I've never shopped at Verbo. I don't know. Anyway, now I want to be excited for this. And I should be, because Christopher Nolan is great. Christopher Nolan is awesome. But I just can't trust anything in the modern entertainment environment. It's just, I've become cynical, okay? But anyway, so here's Tom Holland, and he's playing Telemachus, which, considering that he's basically still a boy, this makes sense. This makes sense. He's a young man playing the son of Odysseus, and that works. That works. So I'm relieved. I'm relieved that that's what Tom Holland is playing, and not something worse, like he's playing Odysseus. Like, that would have been bad if he was playing Odysseus, because Odysseus is like, he's a mature warrior. He's not a man-child. No offense. I'm hoping Tom Holland, one day he grows up into a man, but he just isn't there yet. He's close. He's like he's right there. He's just a callow guy. Okay. Check out a first look at Tom Holland in the Odyssey, upcoming Odyssey, playing Telemachus. The set pics reveal Christopher Nolan is there, and they're actually filming the scene on a real boat in water and not CGI through a green screen. Oh, yes. Oh. If I had a shill face, this would be the time for shill face. If I had a shill face, now would be the time. No, Mr. Producer. It's not time for the shill face yet. Nolan and some of the extras in the crew have a life preserver on for the scene. Holland can be seen wearing the attire the Greek story is set in around the 12th or 13th century BCE. I call it BC. Here we go. So here's a couple of images. Tom Holland, Christopher Nolan and Tom Holland on the set. There he is. There's the greater of the Nolans. Not the lesser of the Nolans, Jonathan Nolan, the greater. Nolan the greater, not Nolan the lesser. Look at this is pretty cool. Who is this? Let me get the cap. Matt Damon. This is Matt Damon as Odysseus. Look, chat, I think this could turn out to be a really good casting. Listen, I trust Nolan's casting instincts a hell of a lot. When he announced Heath Ledger as the Joker, the entire internet cringed. I cringed because Heath Ledger up to that point was basically like a teen movie star. He was in 10 Things I Hate About You. He was in that stupid movie A Knight's Tale, which was basically like a teen movie with rock and roll music, but it was supposed to be set in medieval times. It sucked. I hated it. And it's like, that guy's not the Joker. Heath Ledger's not the Joker. And yet, he turned out to be my favorite portrayal of the Joker. So, and Matt Damon, say what you want about Matt Damon, he is an excellent actor, and he's pretty grizzled at this point. He's gotten surprisingly grizzled. And I think that's a good, he's got that world weariness about him. In fact, I was watching Jason Bourne, which is the fourth entry in the Bourne trilogy. You know what's funny? Quadrilogy, I should say. The fourth entry in the Bourne quadrilogy. I enjoy all three of the Bourne trilogy. I pulled up Jason Bourne, okay, and I said, for some reason, I have not yet seen this film, Jason Bourne, okay. Why haven't I seen this? I like the other Bourne films. Why haven't I seen this? So I start watching it. I start watching Jason Bourne. And as I'm watching it, I get super bored. I'm like super bored with this movie. I'm like, God, this is so slow. Oh, I just don't care. This is so bleak and depressing. And then I started to realize I had watched the first parts of it before. I'm like, I think I did. I think I started watching this a couple of years ago. And the same thing happened. It was bleak, depressing, and slow. And it was the same shit over. Jason Bourne is on the run from evil CIA. Evil CIA is hunting James Bourne. James Bourne must run from evil CIA assassin. And it's a race against time to expose evil CIA, which he's already done 3 times. He's done it 3 times. Why do I need to see him do it a 4th time? But all of that aside, he's playing a kind of old, beat-up, grizzled Jason Bourne who is way past his prime, and he's getting too old for this shit. And that element of it was actually pretty cool. That element of it worked really well. So I think that this could turn out to be an inspired casting. What do you think, chat? Am I just off my rocker here? Am I off my nut? Tim Allen says the YouTuber Metatron has issues with the costumes for this up-and-coming movie. Anthony Timmons says Heath was the ultimate babyface at the time. Yeah, he did not have any of the gravitas you'd be looking for the Joker. He didn't have just, that leathery, weary face you would expect of the Joker. And yet, he pulled it off. He totally pulled it off. Fu Man Blue says, at this point, if you want to look really stand out from the rest, then make it accurate because nobody does that much. Fu Man Blue says, Jason Bourne, is that like Jake Skywalker? Not exactly. Anthony says, shill face, careful cap, Grizzy might be watching. He's always watching. Fortunately, if you're not a shill, you've got nothing to worry about. It would be my great honor to be in a Grizzy video. If I were just going full shill for some reason and I wound up in a Grizzy video, I'd be sort of honored. I really would. I'd be like, I took a left turn there. Maybe when the next Avatar movie comes out. Grizzy will get a clip of me going full shill. Because I love those, but I love those blue people. I really do. I love the blue people. I want to live with the blue people on Pandora. Okay, don't judge me. Tim Allen says, "Did the captain inherit Rush Limbaugh's stack of stuff?" No, I borrowed it. Look, I Rush Limbaugh has informed a great deal of how to do this. Like for me, he is the old school gold standard for broadcasting. And so, yes, I borrow heavily. So, yes, the stack of stuff is from Rush Limbaugh. I borrowed it. I consider it an homage. I used to love how he talked about the stack of stuff. It was my favorite thing. So, yes, it's definitely that. Very sharp and intuitive, Tim Allen. You've absolutely spotted it. I borrowed it from Rush Limbaugh. Long may he rest in peace. I miss him. I really do. I miss him terribly. Okay, next part of the... Let's roll past this, Mr. Producer. What is The Odyssey about? I know what The Odyssey is about. Thank you. Who stars? We got Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway. He loves Anne Hathaway, Nolan. He really loves Anne Hathaway. Robert Pattinson, Charlize Theron, Lupita Nyong'o, Himesh Patel, Bill Irwin, Benny Safdie, Samantha Morton, John Bernthal, which is that is exciting. What is John Bernthal up to in this? John Leguizamo, Elliot Page. Oh yes, that was the one. That was the one that had everyone up in arms. He cast Elliot Page. What are you up to, Nolan? Jesse Garcia. Well, that's one of the stable of actors that he likes. Jesse Garcia, Will Yun Lee, Mia Goth. Oh, I love that. Mia Goth. If you've not seen X and Pearl, excellent movies. Really freaking good. And Mia Goth is crazy good. And Corey Hawkins. Isn't Corey Hawkins the guy... Oh, I know who Corey Hawkins is. He was in that 24 remake. They tried to do a 24 reboot. Yes. Yeah, he was pretty good in that. I'm down with that. I'm down with Corey Hawkins. July 17th, 2026. It'll probably be the best movie of that year. That's my prediction. That will be the best movie of that year. Which superhero has the best costume? It's just a rando poll I just came across. Spider-Man, Batman, Wonder Woman, or Iron Man? Spider-Man. Spider-Man has the best. Spider-Man is the best. It's just a fact. All right, so there you go. Now, like the Commander, D-Day Cobra, over there at D-Day Cobra channel, I am a huge Nolan shill. Like, I'm a flat-out Nolan shill. It's unfortunate. No, I'm not. I'm not a shill. Because a shill likes everything that they're presented. That's really the defining characteristic of a shill, is that they don't actually have standards. They just like everything. Not everything Nolan's done is good. Like, Tenet was a disaster. Tenet was a total disaster. That being said, even as a disaster, it exceeds the quality of most lesser movies. So, when Nolan fails, he fails daring greatly. And so even his failures are kind of amazing. But that being said, I am a huge Nolan fan, and I'm a huge fan of Interstellar, and I am working on a video that is designed to push back against all of the hateful bigots who think Interstellar is not good and that it's pretentious, like Mahler and Critical Drinker. They're bigots! They're hateful bigots! Because they don't like Interstellar and they think it's dumb. Because love is not the fifth dimension. Yes, I know that. Okay? That's not what the movie is. Anyway, but I thought it's only fair. I do a lot of laughing at the shill's expense. I do a lot of critique, mild, gentle, constructive critique on this channel. And I do sometimes somewhat harshly take the piss out of movies I don't like and creatives I don't respect. And so, and YouTubers with opinions I don't like either. So it's only fair that something I love occasionally takes a little heat. So I saw that Pitch Meeting has an Interstellar video making fun of Interstellar. So the captain, I am an enjoyer of Pitch Meeting with Ryan George, and so I'm going to watch the Interstellar Pitch Meeting with you. I've not seen this yet, and I'm going to watch Pitch Meeting roast one of my favorite all-time films, Interstellar, with you, chat, and we're going to see how triggered I get. Mr. Producer, do we have the captain's trigger meter? What do you mean I didn't tell you to make that? Well, of course I didn't. I just got the idea. You are supposed to anticipate my needs. That's why I hired you. Never mind. All right. Mr. Producer, just switch to the view. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Okay, here we go.
So, you got a new idea for me? Yes, sir, I do. I was thinking we make Matthew McConaughey an astronaut. All right. All right? All right. And hey, we should film it while we're at it. Make a whole movie out of it. Yeah, no, I didn't mean let's just send Matthew McConaughey to space. I meant in this movie he would play an astronaut. Even better. So what happens in this thing? Okay, so well, life on Earth sucks, right? Sure, but what happens in the movie, though? Okay, well, in the movie, life on Earth sucks even more in the future, okay? And all they can grow is corn. There's like a famine going on. Big lumps of knob with the juice, I'm familiar. So this ex-NASA pilot Joe Cooper is a farmer because they stopped doing space stuff. Oh, and this is McConaughey? It is, and he's a father. He has 2 kids, one of which he loves much more than the other. It's the exact same situation with me and my kids, little Becky and little fart face. Yeah, he's got this daughter Murph, who's very smart, and this older son Tom, who's, not as smart. Okay.
Dude, and you know what's funny is one of Jeremy's defenses, because he loves this movie, right? One of Jeremy's defenses of this film to Mahler and Critical Drinker on Open Bar was that, yeah, parents have favorites. So what? I was like, that's a terrible defense. That's a terrible defense of the movie. Now listen, I could have offered a much better defense of this. You could argue that, yes, Murph is kind of a favorite of Cooper's. You could argue that. But I don't actually think that the film is trying to present that she's his favorite. The film is trying to present that his relationship with her is more germane to the story. He does have a relationship with his son. His son is very different than he is. His son is actually kind of a salt-of-the-earth guy who enjoys farming and aspires to be a farmer. Cooper hates farming. He's a scientist and an astronaut. He's not at all interested in that. So, but McConaughey's character of Cooper shows a great deal of trust in his son in the film. He entrusts his son with being the strong one because Murph can't handle him leaving, but his son can. His son is strong enough to handle that. And so he entrusts his son to be the leader of the household, to take care of his sister, to take care of the farm, to make sure things get done. And his son inherits that mantle in the film, which is important. It's an important part of their relationship as father and son. But it's not central to the main story, which is about Murph and Cooper discovering the answer that will save humanity. So my argument to Mahler and Critical Drinker is the film is not concerned with his relationship with his son. The film is concerned with his relationship with his daughter and how they are able to communicate across time and space, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Roll tape.
Oh, as a side note, I met this young man in my travels named Timothy Chalamet. Shows a lot of promise. I think he could be a great Tom. What travels? Anyway, so Murph thinks there's a ghost in her room because of these gravitational anomalies, but Cooper is like, stop foreshadowing stuff. What? And then he figures out that this dust that forms some patterns is actually coordinates, and he heads there, and it turns out it's secret NASA. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Wow. Yeah, and secret NASA is like, hey, we got a secret wormhole mission that we're going to check out because maybe there's other planets we can live on, and we want you to pilot the mission. Why do they want him? Well, they're like, you used to fly for us, so you'd be the only person on board with actual non-simulator flight experience. Come on, let's go. If they knew about him and needed someone exactly like him, why didn't they reach out? Unclear, and so then he says bye to his kids, and Murph is very upset, and nobody gives a crap about what Tom feels.
All right, that's a fair critique. That is a fair critique. That has always kind of annoyed me about the movie. Why didn't they reach out to him?
Sure, who gives a crap? So Cooper meets up with the other scientists on the mission and they take off towards this wormhole. Wormholes are tight. And so the mission is to go check out the 3 planets that are orbiting a supermassive black hole. Supermassive black holes are tight.
They are tight. They are tight.
Stop. Never. Never. And so these other NASA scientists actually took off towards these planets about 10 years ago and showed...
Oh my god. I have to address this in the chat. Star Fury says... what did someone mention life? Are you talking Star Fury says I absolutely hate Interstellar. No. He said I fucking absolutely hate stuff. Star Fury. Well, then you should enjoy this. You should enjoy the pitch meeting. Oh, it's a show called Life. Okay, there's a film called Life, which is a dopey alien monster movie with Ryan Reynolds in it, and it's about they get a Martian life form on the International Space Station, and it starts snacking on the crew, and it's great. I love it. It's a really good movie. Fu Man Blue says, I love Interstellar. I watch it when I really want to be completely depressed. Oh, stop, Fu Man Blue. It's uplifting at the end. It's actually quite uplifting, I think.
There. Gotcha. So they have a little debate about which planet to check out first, because the one they're right next to turns out has a bunch of time dilation going on. What does that mean? It means down on this planet, 1 hour equals 7 years on Earth. Okay, so I mean, they definitely shouldn't go down to that one first. What? Well, if that scientist got there 10 Earth years ago, that means they've probably been on the surface of the planet for a little over an hour. That's probably not enough exploration time. Hey, shut up. And so they go down to that one. Oh, okay. But then it turns out this freaking planet's covered in water and there are skyscraper-sized waves going around. So they got to get out of there fast. But this one scientist, Brand, she wants to collect the data before they leave. So she goes and does that. Why bother with the data if the planet's clearly not habitable? Dramatic tension. So then this other scientist dies because he wanted to look at the waves instead of running, I guess. And then the engine gets flooded. And so by the time they get out of there, 23 Earth years have passed. Wow. So Cooper has all these video messages from Tom. Worthless. And he sees him grow up, have a kid, says he wants to name the next one Cooper? This guy sucks. And there's one message from Murph, who's now a sad scientist.
I love this scene. No lie. I love this scene in the movie.
It kills me every time. Oh, that's the good child right there. That's the Becky for sure. So anyway, then they head to the next planet on the list and wake up the scientist, who it turns out is Matt Damon. Oh my god. Yeah, I figure we could do a little Matt Damon jump scare, not put him in any promotional stuff, just have him pop out. Why? Because, I think this might be a cool way to kick off the stranded astronaut phase of his career. That's oddly specific. You're oddly specific, excuse me, in that you are a unique snowflake. Very special. I like you a lot. We have the same face. No, I got glasses, so Matt Damon is like, hey, this planet's not so bad, and we might be able to live here for real. Nice. So then it turns out he's a mean Matt Damon, and he tries to kill Cooper. Oh no, why does he do that? Because this planet actually sucks, and he knew they wouldn't come rescue him unless he sent positive signals. Friggin' Matt Damon, friggin' jerk. Stupid Matt Damon. Yeah, but then he dies when he's trying to leave because he doesn't dock the ship properly. Oh, whoops. Whoopsie. So now there's only Cooper and Brand left, and they have to do this shit.
Oh my god, I almost can't even stand watching this right now because this sequence of events, and this might be one of my favorite scenes in a film of all time. Like, no joke. I every time I see it in the theater, I'm thinking of, I think this might be my favorite scene in a film. Because it's so damn brilliant. It's so awesome. Like, because there's so much nuance. There's so much nuance that's lost in this. But basically, Matt Damon, he has space madness. That's what's happened. He has space madness because I will say it's a bit of a stretch that they sent. So they had 12 planets to explore. They didn't have enough resources to explore everyone, and they didn't have enough people to explore everyone. So Matt Damon's character is actually Dr. Mann, came up with the idea of like, there's 12 planets, we've got 12 experts, we will all volunteer for basically a suicide mission. We all go to one planet, get the data, send it back to Earth. The one that we can live on is the one that you settle, right? Well, Matt Damon found out Dr. Mann, found out that this was a lot worse than he imagined, because when he got to the planet and he was alone and he found out his planet sucked and he was going to die, he couldn't take it. So he put himself in cryosleep and he faked the data to say my planet is inhabitable, and so that he would get rescued. And he's totally insane, because he's basically, but it's a very excellent portrayal of insanity, real insanity, because he's deluded himself into believing that he's justified in what he's doing because he knows what's best for humanity and he's going to save us. And he's so out of it that he doesn't even realize what he's doing when he's trying to dock with the space station. And that scene is so excellent. And you literally have this moment where the entire Endurance, I said space station, I meant to say Starship on the Swords and Starships channel. The Starship Endurance is literally spinning out of orbit and is going to crash. And with it, all hope of saving humanity dies with it. It's spinning out of control. There's debris everywhere. It's a complete nightmare. And Cooper, there's nothing they can do. They're literally watching the fate of all of humanity die. And then Cooper's like, they're in this lander. They're in this shitty lander that's not designed for this kind of situation. And he says to one of the robots he's with, which I think is Case, he tells Case, match the spin. We're going to match the spin of the starship and dock while we're both spinning. And it's one of the most incredible, edge of your seat, awesome action scenes in a movie, and it has the best line ever, which is the robot says it's not possible. He says it's impossible. And Cooper says, no, it's necessary. It's freaking awesome.
Super high-speed spinny docking thing, and then Cooper's gonna sacrifice himself. What do you mean? Well, he kind of launches Brandan the ship towards the next planet, and he gets sucked into that black hole. Wow, so he dies and turns into space spaghetti? He turns into space-getty? Ah, he goes behind a bookshelf. What? Yeah, it turns out this thing led to a fifth-dimensional tesseract thing, and now he's behind the bookcase in his childhood room. What's going on? And so he realizes he can manipulate gravity to communicate, and he was the ghost knocking books off the shelf. Oh, twisty! So in Morse code, he spells out the word stay, which is the same word that Murph had deciphered on the day he left. Oh, so he does the thing that he knows doesn't work. Interesting strategy. Yeah, and then it doesn't work. What? Anyway, so then he sends some important gravity equation to Murph through binary on an old watch, which lets her save humanity. Wow, must have been hard for her to piece together that her dad was communicating to her via the fifth dimension through a broken watch. Actually, it was super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yeah, because see, I can write whatever I want here, so she just kind of pieces it together out of thin air. Sick! And so then Coop gets rescued.
That's not what happened. That's not what it is. Come on. She had her entire adult life to think about all of this. Like from the time she was a child to the time she's at this moment in her adult life. The whole point, that's the whole thesis of the film. The whole thesis of the film is that time and space, it's all connected. We just can't see it because we are prisoners of our place in it. But we are unaware of the larger picture, right? Which is what Cooper and Murph are briefly given insight through the Tesseract, which was placed there in the wormhole, or that is in the black hole, to protect him. So he's in a protected Tesseract, which is a fifth dimensional space that can, go across time and space. It's a fourth dimensional cube. That's what a Tesseract is. It's a cube in 4 dimensions. So length, height, width, and time. And so he is given a brief insight into all time and space. The problem is that's too much information for the human mind. That's too much information for the limited human intelligence to make sense of. So it manifests as the one thread, the one thing where he can make sense of it, which is his love for his daughter and her love for him, and the promise he made to her to get back to her. And so everything in time and space is then contextualized for Cooper as her bookshelf. because of their connection as father and daughter, they are able to intuit the connection. She had her whole lifespan to figure this out, and he had all of time laid out in front of him to figure it out. And it was because of their understanding of each other, even across millions of light years. It was the fact that they could understand each other and speak the same language, which made it possible to send a message through time and space that could save humanity. And yes, that's not like the most logical, scientific, rationalistic answer to a question ever. And that's the point. We are not merely the sum of our parts. We are not simply bags of meat in a clockwork. We're more than that. We're spiritual beings. And we're here for a purpose, a greater purpose, which we may not fully understand, but that purpose is real. We can't see it, we can't touch it, but we know that it's there. We just know it. And that's the point of the story, is that love is not like, it's not a rational force in the universe, but it is a force in the universe. And it's part of us. It's an older part of us than all of our knowledge of science. And by the way, Cooper begins the story as a skeptic, a man of pure reason and science. He tells his daughter, don't be believing in dumb things like ghosts. If he had had his way, she never would have figured it out. That's the whole point, because he began the story in pure reason and logic, and he ends the story being able to find his way through instinct and intuition and the relationship he has with his family. That's what saves humanity in the end. So no, the film is not arguing that love is actually the fifth dimension. Love is arguing that it helps us make sense of our place in the world, and at this key moment, it was the best tool for Cooper and Murph to communicate across time and space. It's marvelous. It's marvelous. Wrangler says, I'm not a fan of casual loops. You mean causality loops, Wrangler? I think so. Tim Allen says he's here for the mead. Star Fury says, I love that movie. It has John Billingsley in it. Not sure which one was it. The Man from Earth. Star Fury says he hates the linear time trope. It is so trite, and also the theory posed by the movie is so unprovable, it makes me want to scream. That's the point, Star Fury. You can't prove it. The fact that we don't have all the answers is the answer. The fact that there isn't always a logical or rational answer is the point of the story. That's the point is science can only take us so far. If science had all the answers, then the robots would have been all you needed to solve the problem. You just would have sent the robots out there and they would have fixed everything. You know, the scene in which Cooper saves the Endurance from crashing is a great illustration of this exact theme of the film, which is that the robot immediately assesses the situation, runs all the statistics, and concludes that it is statistically impossible to dock the lander with the Endurance. And he simply relays that logical conclusion to Cooper. Cooper has no logical or rational reason to believe that he can pull this off, even as skilled of a pilot as he is. But he concludes he's gonna do it anyway. That is the stuff of James T. Kirk. That is the stuff of James Bond. That is the stuff of Doctor Who and all of the great leader characters of fiction. Like, that is the stuff of those characters. They run on their instincts, their gut instincts. That's a man. That's the point, is that if Cooper had been purely rational, if he had been purely concerned with what was provable and knowable, he could never have saved the Endurance from crashing. But he believed in himself, and as he puts it, it's not impossible, it's necessary. The impossible was necessary. How could you not love that? How could you not love that?
Gets to see his daughter, who's super old and dying now, and she's like, hey, Dad, good to see you. Now get out of here. Hasn't she waited for his return her whole life? Yeah, but the movie's over now, so he gets on a spaceship and takes off to go find Brand. Wow. And so that's about it. What do you think? Well, here's an idea. Instead of that mind-bendy bookshelf thing, what if we have Coop fight some aliens and there's a big sky beam? No. I had to try. No, yeah, this is pretty good. Thank you. I think this is going to be one of the best movies about checking out other planets for valuable resources featuring Timothée Chalamet ever. That's oddly specific. You're oddly specific. Hi, everybody. This is...
Starfury says it was the faulty tiles that screwed the endurance. No, it wasn't. No, it was because Matt Damon he had an imperfect seal. He had an imperfect seal on the station. And hat tip Ryan George. Pitch meter. Interstellar it's brilliant. Ryan George, pitch meeting, and Starfury notwithstanding. Have I convinced you, Starfury? Don't answer that. Don't answer that. I should just count my blessings. I got Starfury like this close to agreeing with me that Shkishkima it was correct that Shkishkima survives at the end of Godzilla -1. And that's it. That's I get the Lifetime Achievement Award for that. Pulling off convincing Starfury on Interstellar, well, know your limitations. That's what I say. Starfury says, I was talking about the shuttle explosion as a snide remark. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought, never mind. My apologies, the captain. I get snippets of the chat sometimes, and I miss the details. I do fervently await, though, Starfury, you updating your opinion of Interstellar now. No. You don't think so, Mr. Producer? Implacable? That's not how I would describe Starfury. What else do we have? That's fine. Speaking of roasting, I got roasted in my Spider-Man comment section on my Spider-Man video. I haven't read all the comments lately. There's a lot of them. I got crazy engagement on that one. I have no idea why that one was so triggering for people. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That was the show I was reviewing. I wasn't going to do a second review because the first two episodes were so trash that I just didn't even need to see. I didn't even need to see another one. But I thought, maybe I will, because clearly more needs to be said about this. Friendly. Hang on. Okay, so I'm just pulling up the video because I need it in order to read my comments. Okay, there we go. All right, Mr. Producer, give me my screen here. Gonna do some comment review live on the. I just curious. Let's just see what the comments are. 19 comments. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is the first rebuttal to my arguments. Now, I want you to keep in mind, chat. In Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Uncle Ben is killed before Peter Parker gets bit by the spider. So they don't even say how he died. He just died. Which is a complete destruction of the lore. That's how Spider-Man became the hero Spider-Man, right? Which is exactly what I said. And he says, Uncle Ben doesn't even exist in Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And there was no issue there, close quote for a second. There exactly was that issue. That was exactly the issue with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Why is he Spider-Man? Well, the fact of the matter is, they didn't even explain Uncle Ben's death. Look, the Tom Holland Spider-Man is weak sauce. It is Spider-Man light. Iron Man is his mentor. Uncle Ben should be his mentor. So no, that is the issue. That is the issue with the Tom Holland Spider-Man. Open quote, you find fault in things that aren't inherently a problem. Close quote. I don't think so. If I say there's a problem with it, there's a problem. You can, let me reassure you, sir. If I say there's a problem, there's a problem. So now that that's settled, quote, the series is good, but hey, everyone has their opinions. Well, that's nice. Well, yours is wrong, sir. Yours is wrong. The series is good. The series is good. What's good about it? What is good about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? The animation is lazy. The plot is slow. The supporting characters are lame. The track suit is disgusting. It's gross. I don't even like looking at it. You tell me what's good about it, Sir Madam Marit. Are you even trying, man? It's like you want a teenage boy to get introduced to the adult world and he suddenly knows how to manage a company. No, sir. No, that's not what I want. What I want is Spider-Man to be a man. That's what I want. By the way, there is a way to do Spider-Man as a young man. You know, Anthony Mackie is making this exact point. Anthony Mackie made this point for me. It's not specifically that Spider-Man is being portrayed as a young man in high school. That's not specifically what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you had a teenager, a Spider-Man teenage character in the 60s, he would have been 10 times the man that like a 30-year-old is by modern standards. That's my point. My point is what we consider to be an adult male or a male who is worthy of like maturity and responsibility and leadership is not this idiot clown child that's being portrayed in the show. That's my issue. Yes, it is possible to do a coming of age superhero who starts out, maybe he's in high school, he's like 17, he learns some life lessons. You know what's interesting about that is that was the story. That was the story of Spider-Man. He goes out. When he gets bitten by a radioactive spider, he immediately wants to beat up bullies. He wants to win money at wrestling, and he doesn't give a shit when a robber steals from someone. And he says, not my problem. Exactly the behavior you'd expect from a boy who has not yet learned what it is to be a man. And then, hang on, cough button for a second. We need microphone. Okay, sorry. Cough button off. Now, what was I saying, Mr. Producer? I think I made my point. So that's not the issue. I'm not saying I want a teenage boy introduced to the adult world. What I'm saying is I want the subject of a Spider-Man story to be about a young man who doesn't act like a fool. Because that's not Spider-Man. Moving on. Shows a clip, refuses to elaborate. Ah, yes, I see why you don't like that. What clip? I elaborate on everything. It's a 10-minute video. What do you want from me? Your video's too long. You need to shorten it. Your video's too short. You need to lengthen it. Dude, you keep comparing animation to live action. It doesn't work. Peter is also supposed to be dorky, something Toby fails to do. What are you talking about? Toby is a huge dork, so you're wrong. Second, I never said the issue. Spider-Man is properly, that is Peter Parker, before he gets powers, is properly understood to be, he's an outsider, he's a nerd, he's not a moron. He doesn't act like a moron. If anything, he's a smart, nerdy kid who's treated badly by other students. That's the issue. So you're wrong about that. And by the way, I can compare animation to live action because I was not comparing the set pieces. I was comparing the story. The story has nothing to do with whether... Are you saying that animation means it can be trash and live action means it's a higher standard? Well, if so, by that logic, I suppose you're correct. This is the worst take I've ever seen in my entire life. No, it isn't. Wow, why is this review so damn shitty? Checks bio, now it makes sense. Oh, that triggered because in my bio it says tired of wokeness. So yes, I triggered a shill. That's a shill. You're hating just to hate. It was a good show. Far better than Ultimate, Marvel, Spider-Man 1967, etc. No, I'm not hating just to hate. I'm hating because I'm tired of garbage, shit content that's being shoveled through the algorithm wood chipper. That's what I hate. He's not a man. He's an awkward high school kid. Well, we agree then. I automatically look at the racial aspect of all this. I know. The show has worlds of issues then just to focus on that. But we would be remiss to say that race has nothing to do with their agenda. This would be Skunk's Workshop. How dare you tease me with a blonde Emma Stone? Now I gotta watch. I actually, the race swapping is it's just par for the course. The show has far more problems than that. It truly does. To be honest, it's not bad, but the animation is kind of ass. I counted as like a what-if TV show. Yeah, that's why we can't have nice things. Because of lazy, low, I guess it's okay standards. Well, if you're just going to shrug your shoulders, then, go watch a shill channel. Go watch the shills. They'll be more to your liking. They clap like seals for everything. So they'll be better for you than this channel. Sir, he's 15, a kid, not a man. Well, you got that right. I like the new show, and it is good. No, it's not. But I understand that other people, including you, Swords and Starship, it's Swords and Starships, plural, sir, wanted it canceled in the first place to have Spectacular Spider-Man Season 3 and Spider-Man 98. I never said that. When did I say that? You're attributing to me things I did not say. But here is the thing, though. If they did brought it back, nobody would have interested at first, even though of us never grown up with these shows in our life. Okay, well, that's a tragedy. I'm trying to save you from this. That's my whole point of my advocacy on this channel, Swords and Starships. The entire point is I'm trying to save you from growing up without proper Spider-Man. Thank me. Oh, look, another Disney Marvel hater. Disney hater, yes. Disney Marvel hater, yes. Marvel hater, not necessarily. Another Disney Marvel. Why are you so desperate to love Disney Marvel, Sir Madam Marit? Looks like no one in the comment section actually read the comics. They watch the Disney manufactured Tom Holland films and think they're all expert. I was about to use my shill voice, and I realized, no, that's not a shill. I agree. I'm putting a heart on that one. I'm tempted to reply yes to this one. Another Marvel Disney hater? I mean, yeah. What do you want from me? It's like, oh, look, another trash disliker. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I hate trash. I hate garbage. I don't like it. That's why I remove it from my home. I think we've fairly covered it, Mr. Producer. That'll be enough of that. So yeah, I got a whole bunch. I triggered a bunch of people. Look, if you have no standards for your entertainment, you don't care. I literally heard this. I heard someone say, I like all Marvel stuff. It doesn't really matter to me how good it is. I just love it. Okay, if that's your standard, fine. Live your best life. Enjoy. Understand that you will never incentivize companies to wow you. You will never incentivize creatives to make something that really blows you away or moves you. They will make content for you to waste your time to. And if that's all you want, that's your business. I want more. And I want more for you. So if you think that that is a worthy desire, well, then you are in the right place. The Swords and Starships channel, please like and subscribe. But if you expect me to lower my standards so that you can feel better about your low standards, never gonna happen. Okay? It's just never gonna happen. We're raising the bar on the Swords and Starships channel. Learn it, love it, live it. Where is my chat, Mr. Producer? Anthony, I like this. Anthony Timmons says Peter Porker on 2 pieces of rye bread with lettuce, tomato, mayo, and a slice of pepper jack cheese and a cold beer. What? What are you talking about, Anthony? Tim Allen says, I want steak and mead. Tim Allen does nothing but say he wants mead. That's all he does. He says, hail, permission to come aboard, mead. Mead. I kind of like it. He's like Morn in Quark's bar in Deep Space Nine. That's what he's like. That's what Tim Allen is like. He's like Morn in Quark's bar. Everyone loves him. He's always there. And that's all that's needed. That's all that you need. Tim Allen just sits at the bar demanding mead, and all the dramatic events of the Dominion War and the Klingon War and the Changeling impersonation crisis, it all just whirls around him. And there he is, in his place at Quark's bar, drinking mead. I respect it. I really respect it. Tim Allen says Toby played an okay Peter, better than Tom. Now, Tim Allen. Toby was the GOAT, okay? Toby was the best live action Peter Parker. It's just flat out. No to the Peter Porker. Spider-Ham does not exist, damn it. I agree with that. I really agree with that. Having Ned Leeds as a fat boy was so wrong. Ned's fine. It's just annoying MCU bullshit is all that is. Ned's fine. He's likable, whatever. Anthony Timmons says, on a brighter note, Interstellar cured my insomnia. See? Look at this. I thought I had constructed a safe little echo chamber here, and I see now that I have failed. Next, you're going to tell me that you don't like Titanic, Tim Allen. Or was that Anthony Timmons? That was Anthony Timmons who said that. Did I see a Godzilla comment? Anthony Timmons says Godzilla should have went through that wormhole and shat all over whatever was on the other side. I feel like Star Fury's going to agree with you. Star Fury says Interstellar's worse every time it's discussed. Oh, come on, Star Fury. It's worse every time it's discussed. Here I am making impassioned, flawless arguments, trenchant analysis. And Star Fury's like, it's worse every time. Oh, come on. Don't make me defend Titanic again. I'll do it, damn it. I'll do it. Actually, no. After I said that the ship sinks in real time, and in real time learned it didn't, that kind of ended. I'm never bringing it up again. Forget it. It was a movie that was made once. That's the last we'll ever say on that one. What else we got? What else we got, Mr. Producer, in the stack of stuff? Hat tip, Rush Limbaugh. Rest in peace. Do we dare, Mr. Producer? I feel like we dare. I mean, the fact of the matter is, can we say it, Mr. Producer? Is it fair to say? I think it's fair to say. Chat, trouble is brewing.
Now shall you deal with me, O Prince, and all the powers of hell!
Trouble is brewing. Share screen, Mr. Producer. Hat tip Dave Cullen, a new Star Trek Janeway TV show. Dear God. They just won't stop.
Well, would you look at that? Apparently there's talks now to bring back Kate Mulgrew in a live-action portrayal of Admiral Janeway.
I really wanted Janeway to come back in Star Trek Picard Season 3, but it just didn't happen, and I was really disappointed by that. But this is bad news. This is trouble brewing, because it's going to be Kurtzman Trek. After what they did to Jean-Luc Picard, I can't take it. I can't take the characters. And, you know, Kate Mulgrew, I love her acting, and I love her performances, and I love her portrayal of Catherine Janeway, but she is pretty much, to say she's a wacko would be going too far, but I will just say she buys into all the narratives. She buys into a lot of the narratives, and that is a poison chalice right out the gate. You mix that with Kurtzman and his stable of weirdos, that's a witch's brew, if there ever was one.
Article is from What Culture. Kate Mulgrew, Janeway's Star Trek return is being pursued. A live-action return for the Admiral 2? Something's cooking at Secret Hideout. It has been quite the week for Star Trek in the year supposedly without a lot of Star Trek. First Kirk, then Khan, now Janeway, speaking at An Evening With on Friday aboard the Star Trek The Cruise 8, Kate Mulgrew responded to a fan question about a possible live-action return for Janeway. There is a conversation happening. It is being pursued. Interesting. Now, I do have a little bit of inside baseball here, because I was privy about 2 years ago or so to a bit of behind-the-scenes info. There had been a pitch, however preliminary it may have been, that after Star Trek Picard ended, that there was going to be a 7 of 9 Admiral Janeway series. That was an idea that was being floated around, that Admiral Janeway and 7 of 9 were going to have their own show. Of course, I suspect the ending of Picard Season 3 had maybe some influence over that proposal, considering 7 of 9 ended up being the captain of the new USS Enterprise G. Star Trek Legacy doesn't appear to be on the cards, at least at the moment, as much as fans may have wanted it. So
I would much rather have Star Trek Legacy with Ed Speleers as Jack Crusher. I just think that would be such a better series. I would love to see the Jack Crusher series. I think that would be so cool. I loved him in Star Trek Picard Season 3. That's a better idea, which is why it's never going to happen.
Is this Janeway return, in fact, the fulfillment of the Janeway / 7 of 9 series, or is it something else? Of course, Kate Mulgrew has been playing Janeway, albeit in a voice acting role, for the animated series Star Trek Prodigy for a few years now. If this return is going to be in a purely Janeway-centric series, or some form of guest spot in another capacity on another show, for example. The original plan was for Janeway to appear in Star Trek Picard Season 3, incidentally. Her character is mentioned several times, but for whatever reason, this guest appearance couldn't materialize, so they drafted in Tim Russ to play Tuvok instead, which worked out quite well because Tim Russ is always great, and it was awesome to
which was cool. I loved it. I loved seeing Tuvok. He was awesome.
See Tuvok again. Now, one of the things I really hope they don't do to Janeway is what's been done to other legacy characters from other franchises in recent years, and I think you probably know what I'm talking about. So a character is brought back, they're now elderly, but they're world-weary, broken, you know, they're not the person they used to be. And we've seen this
Exactly. Now the question is, would the feminist mind virus allow that, though? See, that's the question. Could they do that to a woman? Could they do that to a female character? I would argue it's hard to say. I think that their bizarre inability to tell a story featuring an older character, like a legacy character, Hollywood just is stuck on this cliche of the only way to give them an arc is to have it be the elderly redemption arc. They're old, they're tired, they're world weary, they're drinking away their sorrows over all their mistakes and failures, and their children hate them and all this bullshit. They're just waiting to die, just like Indiana Jones and Jake Skywalker, Picard. This is always what they do. They're just sitting around waiting to die. So that's going to be their first instinct. But that will be at war with their other instinct, which is girl bossery. So which inclination will win out? Your guess is as good as mine, chat.
All too often in franchises of late, like for example, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. He's alone, his wife has left him, and his son is dead. It was just terribly bleak. Of course, Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, he lives in isolation, alone on this island, very, very similar kind of outcome in many ways. And he doesn't believe in the Force anymore. He's completely broken. And then you had Picard in Star Trek Picard. So he ultimately retreated to his vineyard in France. He was just a shadow of his former self. This treatment of older characters has become a cliched trope of late.
This is the nicest thing Star Fury's ever said. He says, I have a soft spot for Janeway, even though Voyager disgusts me at times. Well, it does, though. It disgusts me at times. Like the episode where they de-evolve into a lizard or whatever. I can't stand that episode. I can't deal with it, man. It's so bad. But, I mean, every Star Trek show has those episodes for me. Voyager more than the others. I do think Voyager, we're not counting Kurtzman Trek. I'm saying of the original 5. They all have bad episodes. But, like, definitely Voyager had more than its share of cringe episodes like that.
It's a fairly recent one as well. And believe it or not, it's one that actors can sometimes like playing, even though it's the last thing that fans want to see.
Why the hatred? Star Fury says, anyone that wants to try Interstellar deserves everything they get. Fu Man Blue says, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it again tonight in your honor. Thanks for getting me hyped. That's right, Fu Man Blue. That's right. Fu Man Blue is correct here. Anthony Timmons says, I would rather watch C-SPAN. Starfury says, we could always watch Clockwork Orange, the assholes, and force them to watch Interstellar on a loop. There. Fu Man Blue says, low IQ people struggle with masterpieces like Interstellar in 2001. Yes, Fu Man Blue. Tim Allen says, only good thing to Voyager was 7 of 9. Or as my uncle used to call her whenever he caught me watching it, 6 of 9.
I mean, no one wants to see their beloved characters spending their final years in pain and racked with angst. But actors do like to play pathos, right? So it offers them the chance to do melodrama and tragedy, regardless as to whether it's right for their character. So I'm hoping that this trope is...
That's a really good point. I hadn't considered that aspect of it. It's not just that it's a cliche for the writers, it's a cliche that the actors lean into. Because the actors they naturally enjoy playing tragedy, drama, that sort of thing. So that's part of why they become these old, world-weary, useless, shambling figures. Fu Man Blue says, it seems like all the sci-fi shows explore de-evolution or rewriting of DNA. That's true. They often do.
Is avoided when it comes to bringing back Catherine Janeway. What's interesting is the timing of all of this. Of course, I've already talked about the fact that William Shatner has recently said that he's been approached to return as Kirk. Very interesting. Production has just wrapped on Star Trek Khan, on an audio series, which sees the return of Khan Noonien Singh. And now this discussion of Kate Mulgrew possibly returning as Janeway. Well, there's a lot to consider.
You know what would really get me excited is if it were Terry Matalas doing a show where Avery Brooks returns as Benjamin Sisko, and he's coming back from his time with the Prophets. That would get me excited. Like, that would be awesome. If you had Terry Matalas running that, and it was Benjamin Sisko returning from the Temple of the Prophets, how rad would that? That would be the most interesting announcement I could hear, quite frankly.
There. I'll throw it over to you guys. What do you think of the possible return of Catherine Janeway to the franchise? And what form would you want that to take? In a new Star Trek series, or a guest spot somewhere, or maybe a TV movie? I mean, put it this way.
I want Ed Speleers back as Jack Crusher with Terry Matalas. Wrangler says, it sounds like they're getting ready for Star Trek Secret Wars. Fu Man Blue says, ugh.
I would have much preferred to have seen a streaming service movie starring Janeway, like a Star Trek Janeway TV movie, rather than the horror show movie we got with Section 31. It undoubtedly would have gone over much better with fans. Well, there you go, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button, share this video, comment below. Take care. And I'll...
I actually kind of see two directions they might go with this. And hat tip Dave Cullen, a great little piece. I see two directions here. One direction is they go full girl boss with Janeway, right? But the other direction I see is that Janeway is part of the establishment. Follow me on this. Janeway is, like he was talking about, it's a Jake Skywalker, old man Indiana Jones version of her. She's old, she's decrepit, but more importantly, she's part of the establishment in Starfleet. She's part of the kind of quasi-fascistic admiralty. And by the way, they do portray Starfleet as kind of fascistic in Star Trek Picard. That's one of the reasons I hate it so much. And she's become part of that entrenched bureaucracy. And I could see the story being about how there's another girl boss character in the story who is all piss and vinegar, and she's all about the message and all that stuff. And she has to fight with Janeway about how Janeway has internalized all the misogyny and fascism at Starfleet. Janeway has internalized it all, and now she's regurgitating it. And the arc of Janeway in the story is she gets browbeaten, she gets lambasted, she's called out as being a fascist, to being part of the problem. Not necessarily in those exact words, but that's the basic arc. Until finally she realizes it's true. And she's been part of the problem. She's been part of the fascistic, imperialistic Starfleet for all these years. And she's been part of the Starfleet intelligence and all their enforcement activities. And she has internalized all this garbage. And so the end of the story is her learning that the girl boss was right all along, and that girls get it done, and that she needs to overturn the leadership at Starfleet and go against the grain. And she basically, I think that's a big possibility. She gets browbeaten into admitting that she was wrong and she was part of the problem, and it's good that now she's on the right side. I see that as a very real possibility. I'm serious. I think that's a real possibility of how they would get at it. So essentially it would be both. It would be, yes, she's a decrepit old fossil, and she is there to be browbeaten into becoming a girl boss by the end. See, that would be the problem. I guarantee you there'd be some kind of conversation where the girl boss character would be lecturing her about how she turned her back on Starfleet ideals and how she's become part of an old system that doesn't care about people anymore. And Janeway will clap back about this, but of course she'll be portrayed as being like wrong. That's the idea. She will be portrayed as being the asshole in the situation, and she just can't see it. I could totally see that conversation happening in the show, where she's in a knockdown drag out with whatever girl boss they put into it. Some shaved head beast they'll probably put in there. And I crack myself up, Mr. Producer. I crack myself up sometimes. Some shaved head beast. I'm not helping my comment section with stuff like that. I'm really not. Fu Man Blue says Jack Crusher was super. People don't say super enough. I should say super more often. Instead, I say brilliant too often. I should say super more often. I should be like, Interstellar was super. I should say that. I'm so sick of dark, cheap CGI backdrop. I agree with you, Fu Man. It sucks. Wrangler says, I hope they're not bringing Janeway back just to tell Picard to shut the fuck up. No, I'm saying, Wrangler, Janeway is going to be on the receiving business end of shut the fuck up. Or, no, what was it? It was the sheer fucking hubris. That was right. Janeway's going to be receiving sheer fucking hubris from the young girl boss that's lecturing her about how wrong she is. And by the end of it, Janeway will have agreed, confessed all of her sins, and will now be the one delivering sheer fucking hubris. That's what will happen. That is my prediction. Watch the Janeway show have the power on many storyline, says Tim Allen. You mean the power of many? The power of two? The power of many? Maybe that's what you mean. So there's this film, Mickey 17, okay? I saw the trailer for Mickey 17, and it was all I needed to know. I saw that trailer, and I was like, great. Another obnoxious, like meta, dark parody of a future dystopia about how awful humanity is, about how awful the future will be, how life is cheap and meaningless, and it's all super funny, and it's all super dark humor, gallows humor. And I was like, pass. Hard pass. I have no interest in this at all. Also, Robert Pattinson is seriously one of the most repulsive actors in Hollywood. He just is. I don't like him. I don't like him in basically anything. It's not his fault. It's nothing personal. I just don't like him in movies. And Mickey 17 is exactly the kind of movie I would expect to find Robert Pattinson in. It just is. So I had no interest in watching it, but the interesting thing is a bunch of YouTubers I follow did watch it, and they have opinions on it, and I thought I would check in with Critical Drinker's opinion on it. So hat tip Critical Drinker on Mickey 17, a movie I will never watch based on the trailer alone, which was trash. The trailer was depressing, annoying trash, and I would never have a reason to watch this.
Okay, check out this pitch, right? It's a sci-fi movie set in the future where we can clone people and copy their memories to bring them back to life if they die. But then the main character gets cloned while he's still alive, so now there's like 2 of him. Wait, didn't they already do that in The Sixth Day? Nah, it'll be fine. And it's gonna cover all the stuff that we pretend to care about here in Hollywood, like the environment, and colonization, and the Orange Man, and Big Pharma, and powerful corporations exploiting the working classes for profit. And we'll get that guy who did Parasite to write and direct it, because he's good at that smart satirical stuff. I don't know, man. Our audience is pretty stupid. They might not get what we're trying to say with this film. Don't worry, it's okay.
I really... That's exactly... I don't know, man. Our audience are stupid. They're dumb. And they're Americans, which is even dumber. I don't think they'll get it.
We'll just make it dumb as fuck and hammer home the messaging with as much subtlety as a dump truck full of retarded sledgehammers. And we'll get that Ruffalo guy in to play the villain like he's acting in a middle school pantomime. That's sure to work. Are you really sure this is a good idea, sir? It sounds like we're wasting a lot of good potential just to make the same political points we've been repeating for the past 10 years now, and people are getting pretty sick of. Wouldn't it be better to just make an actual smart sci-fi movie that gets people thinking instead? You're fired. Oh dear, never have I seen such an assemblage of talent and potential squandered quite so impressively as Mickey 17, a movie whose trailer promised a black sci-fi comedy wrapped up in a biting satire of modern culture, made by a director with a mostly good track record, and boasting a mostly talent.
I seriously turned Snowpiercer off after 20, maybe 15 minutes. I want to say I watched Snowpiercer for about 15 minutes and I was done. I've seen it before. I've seen it before. A future dystopia. A future dystopia in which the underclass wants to rebel against the overclass. I've seen it so many times now that I don't even feel like I'm watching a new movie. I'm not even watching a new movie. I've seen this movie. I don't need to see it.
Talented cast who can deliver when it counts. What we got instead was all of the worst excesses of modern Hollywood wrapped up in one particularly messy package. A bloated and incoherent narrative that tries to juggle way too many characters and subplots, takes forever to get going, and doesn't do anything particularly interesting once it does. Characters whose decisions and thought processes only make sense if you assume that most of them are functionally retarded. Satire that isn't smart, jokes that aren't funny, heartfelt moments that never land because everything around them is so completely ridiculous, and performances that verge on the absurds. Anyway, allow me to describe whatever passes for a plot so we can get this review over with. In the mid-21st century, with Earth increasingly polluted, humanity is spreading out to colonize...
Oh gee, where have we heard that before?
Nearby star systems, including the icy planet of Niflheim. The expedition's led by Kenneth Marshall, a rich Christian televangelist and failed politician who spouts absolute nonsense in his speeches, has almost no understanding of the ship or the mission, and whose fanatical supporters wear red caps to identify themselves.
Right.
Are you...
These Hollywood creatives are fucking stupid people. They are stupid people. They are... The fact that they think that's clever, it's like, oh, they wear red hats. Get it? They literally, they attribute to their audience the IQ that they themselves have. This is what I failed to understand years ago, and I'd watch a movie like the Marvels, and I just couldn't understand it. These are people that have been refining their craft for years. These are people that learned from the greats like Spielberg or something. How could they produce this? It took a long time for me to figure out how stupid these people are. They ate glue.
to getting it yet. Anyway, because it's a dangerous mission, the ship needs a crew member who's quite literally expendable. A guy who can get killed again and again and have his consciousness downloaded into a new body each time. Enter Mickey, our main man, who signs up for the mission to escape a loan shark after a failed business venture on Earth. Don't worry though, if you're worried about that backstory being relevant to the main plot in any way, it's not. It does eat up a shitload of screen time though, which is pretty cool I guess. Anyway, after 16 other versions of him get killed in a variety of horrible ways, Mickey 17 is out on a mission to capture one of the aliens who inhabit the planet when he's captured instead and presumed killed. He isn't though, and when he does return to the ship, he finds another version of himself has already been printed off. Now this presents quite the problem, because two versions of the same person are strictly prohibited, so they eventually agree to keep their situation hidden from everyone else. That is, until Mickey 17 almost dies at a private dinner with Marshall, prompting Mickey 18 to try to assassinate the guy, which causes all kinds of wacky shenanigans and almost provokes a full-scale war with the planet's indigenous life forms. Now, if I had to pin down the biggest problem with Mickey 17, I'd say that it just can't stay focused long enough to get anything done. Like, the first 30 minutes of the film are basically just a preamble to the actual story, and probably could have been condensed down into a fraction of that time. There's all kinds of subplots about loan sharks and gangsters who for some reason are willing to travel halfway across the galaxy just to recoup a small business loan, broken friendships and betrayals, love triangles and relationship dynamics that go absolutely nowhere, and it's all just an annoying distraction that eats up precious screen time. And the finale is an absolute clusterfuck of disjointed events and nonsensical decisions that kills even the vaguest idea that anything's at stake. And what's kind of annoying is that there's a decent enough premise buried beneath it all. The idea of a person repeatedly dying and being reborn has been tackled many times in many different movies, and there's definitely ways to keep it interesting and entertaining, but Mickey 17 loses its momentum all too quickly. I mean, it is kind of fun watching Mickey get sacrificed in a bunch of gory ways only to get spat out of a 3D printer the next day, in the same way that it's funny to watch someone walk into a plate glass door, but it eventually loses its appeal after you've seen the same gag like 5 or 6 times and you realise they're not going to do anything more imaginative with it. Likewise, there's fertile philosophical ground to cover about the nature of consciousness, identity and even the immortal soul, especially when Mickey gets cloned while still alive, but the film's got zero interest in exploring anything deeper like that. It's basic surface level comedy that doesn't go much further than, isn't it funny to watch two Robert Pattinsons arguing with each other? Well, no it isn't. I mean, credit where credit's due, Pattinson is without a doubt the best thing in this movie, and you can tell that he's doing his best to elevate some pretty mediocre material. I guess he must have watched a lot of Rick and Morty before shooting Mickey 17 though, because his jeez, I don't know about this delivery is straight up impersonation of Justin Roiland's. Toni Collette is another talented actor who's completely wasted in this film. Her character's got no particular reason for being in the movie, and she delivers one of the most hammy, over-the-top performances of her entire career. Then there's Mark Ruffalo. Fuck. Jesus, every time I see that guy's fat, rubbery face show up in a movie now, my heart sinks because I know I'm gonna have to suffer through the same lazy, phoned-in performance he's been doing in basically everything recently. His character Marshall is just Donald Trump crossed with one of those cheesy televangelist con men you see on late-night TV, and holy crap does Ruffalo go all in on this one. You know the kind of lazy, exaggerated Trump impersonation you see on Saturday Night Live, which the average person on the street could probably improve on? Well, dial that level of laziness up to 11 and you come somewhere close to Ruffalo's level of on-the-nose performance in this movie. It's the literal personification of Hollywood cringe. It feels so dated and ham-fisted in 2025, and it's so desperate to get as many jabs in as possible that it practically trips over itself and ruins its own premise. Also, I can't shake the impression that when they made this movie, they probably thought the US election was going to turn out very differently. Now, just to be clear on this one, I'm firmly of the belief that guys like Trump deserve to be mocked just as much as any other public figure, but if you're going to do it, at least put some goddamn effort into it. This is the kind of shit you'd see on free entry open mic night at a not particularly good comedy club. Satire is supposed to be smart and subtle enough that it functions on its own merits, presenting absurd concepts and individuals in a format that's almost believable. But this kind of shit isn't satire, it's just straight up parody, and not particularly funny parody at that. Ultimately, Mickey 17 is a decent concept lost in the churning sludge of Hollywood politics and insecurities, a film that fails to make good on any of its promises, that isn't funny enough to be a comedy, smart enough to be a satire, imaginative enough to be a good sci-fi movie, or even exciting enough to be an action flick. It's a failure in every way, and if you want my advice, you'll save like 2.5 hours of your life and go watch something more enjoyable, like paint drying. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Or Interstellar. You could watch Interstellar. Hat tip, critical drinker. Come on now, Interstellar's you got to admit it. No, the Star Fury's gonna unsubscribe. Anthony Timmons is gonna unsubscribe. Anthony Timmons says, haven't seen any of the newer Star Trek stuff. Well, you are lucky, sir. Never lose that innocence, Anthony. Never lose it. Wrangler, referring to my shaved head beast that I talked about earlier being in the Janeway show, have plated purple. Oh, no! Jeez! Wrangler, I can't say that. It's too much, Wrangler. Your question's well taken, though. Definitely a nose ring. Yeah, definitely there would be a nose ring. Ruffalo is a walking man purse. Yeah, he's repulsive. Ruffalo's it's fat rubbery face. That's so funny. It's not as bad as Buttface, aka Pablo Schreiber, who played Master Chief in The Nude. He has a face shaped like a butt. It's nothing personal. It's just constructive feedback. He's a very unfortunate looking man. Anthony Timmons says, I'm going to watch Interstellar. Never mind, I'll go watch Paint Dry. No, jeez. Interstellar catching very much undeserved strays here. Very much undeserved. I think we'll close it out with Paul Chatto because, so I've been watching Daredevil and I have been a little mum on this because my review is coming out later, possibly today. I'm working on it. I'm like halfway done with my editing on it. Here's the deal with Daredevil Born Again. It's not terrible, but that's also the defense that the shills make for Disney slop, is that it's not terrible. And the irony is not lost on me. And I'm going to tell you, I've got patience for, I think, one more episode. I think I've got patience for like one more episode of this before I'm out. Because 3 episodes have gone by, not one superhero or supervillain scene, except for the first scene. Aside from the very first scene, there's not been one superhero or supervillain scene in which they're doing superhero or supervillain things. And it's really pissing me off. So more nuance will be discussed. It turns out, however, that was one more episode than Paul Chatto could tolerate. So hat tip, call me Chatto.
Hello, denizens of the internet. Your former network executive here. Now, news is coming out that the wow, this isn't complete trash Daredevil Born Again is not doing so well in the ratings on Disney.
It's doing worse than The Acolyte.
Plus, I'm not going to go through the numbers. I'll let others do that. And I'm not going to use it to crap all over Disney Plus, per se. I want to use the Daredevil example to expand on previous videos where I discussed how streaming has really screwed up Hollywood, the movie business, and TV in general, all for the holy grail of recurring revenue. As your former network executive, I have insights others don't have. A quick explanation as to why the studios were desperate for some of that Netflix recurring revenue lucre. You see, the old network model was make a show and sell them based on the ad rates they generated. Every network still...
I would give anything for us to go back to that model. Hell, I would love it too if films went back to saving their box office bacon with DVD sales. That would be awesome, because so many movies that failed at the box office, but were otherwise well liked, but they just didn't do as well as they needed to, could still crush it with DVD sales, which was still a way of driving actual success, not this astroturf. But man, if we could go back to the real model of ad revenue, the Kurtzmans of the world would be out. They'd be gone. The Kathleen Kennedys, gone. There'd be no room for them.
Still has a raft of salespeople shaking the money trees, armed with demographics and ratings. The traditional TV networks are performance-based. Streaming is subscription-based, as you know. They could have a whole month of no new product, and they would still make money. No salespeople. Well, at least until they, too, recently added ads and started begging for cash like the networks.
You know what's crazy about that point? He makes a really good point, because in the network, in the advertising live TV model, you can't have a month of no content. You can't have a month where you don't produce a show people want to watch. You have to have eyeballs on that TV every day of the year, the whole year. But with streaming, you could have nothing happen. Nothing be successful on Netflix for a whole month, and that revenue just comes in anyway. That's crazy. That is why you can afford to have 3 episodes of Daredevil where very little is actually happening. Compared to the Netflix show, very little, the original Netflix show, very little happening.
There is a direct correlation between revenue and the success of a show. Subscriptions totally screwed that up, and not for the better, frankly. But you can see why it was so attractive to lazy management. Free money for doing nothing. Well, not quite nothing. They had to attract subscribers and keep the ones they had. Losing subscribers is called churn. Not fun at all if you're an executive. The walled gardens that are streamers is also a real pain in the ass. They remind me of the bad old days of online forums like CompuServe, Prodigy, AOL, MSN, eWorld, where if you were paying for more than one of these forums, you literally had to log off your telephone modem connection, reconnect with your 2400 baud modem to the one you wanted, wait for the screeching to subside, and noodle around until your mother yelled at you for hogging the telephone line. While there are more and more cable cutters out there, primarily because of the monthly bill and because they are time slot restricted, you have to admit it was way easier to just lay on the couch, mash the up and down button on the channel remote, and traverse every TV network and all the cable channels you subscribed to. Sure, there was nothing on you wanted to watch, but surfing was a thing, and somewhat therapeutic, I would say. Now, just like the online forum days, you're opening and closing countless apps and dealing with the frustrating interfaces each one presents. Please tell me, how is that better? End of tangent. Back.
That's actually a pretty good point. I actually have gotten tired of every single app has a different way of doing the pause and the clickbacks. It's super annoying. Tim Allen says, from what you've showed of Interstellar here, doesn't make me want to watch it. It hasn't caught my eye. Now, Tim Allen, I showed you the pitch meeting, which is making fun of it, and I was loath to even show you the part where he talks about that amazing set piece in the film where they catch the Endurance. I would just say, just watch it. If you enjoy it, great. If you don't, that's fine. Use my rule. If it's 15 minutes in and I'm not into it, I turn it off. But what I would say about Interstellar is that it is meant to be a theater spectacle film, like a classic, like a film you go deliberately out into the world to go see. Because that's what movies used to be, an event. And that's what that film is. I'm surprised I have so many Interstellar haters on my channel. I thought I would have more support on this. I thought Star Fury was the only one. Everybody hates Interstellar on my channel. What did I ever do, Mr. Producer? But anyway, that doesn't do it justice. And I was tempted to defend a little bit why I think Interstellar is so good. But if I did that, I'd be telling you. And I think that actually ruins the movie. Because the thing about Interstellar is it starts in a cornfield. Okay. And it ends in a place where you've gone across time and space, and I don't even want to say more than that because you just can't even imagine the journey you're about to go on, and that's the magic of the movie. So if I just tell you all those things, it spoils that. So I just think it's an experience you got to go with. I'm big into relativity and stuff like that, and the film, there's a lot about it that is far more accurate to science than you would think. So anywho, Tim Allen says, a great team for the Defenders in my book is to have Beast, Damien, Hellcat, Valkyrie, Swordsman, and Gargoyle. That would be cool. Tim, save your sanity. No, don't discourage him, Star Fury. Now, listen to me, Tim Allen. Listen to me. Your captain would not steer you wrong. Please, you got to watch it. Watch it, and you can decide who's right. Me or Star Fury. And Anthony Timmons. Run, Tim. No, Anthony. No. Don't. Tim says I have a 30-minute rule. I may adopt the 15-minute rule. Yeah, I would say watch it with good sound. Turn the lights off. Make yourself some popcorn.
To Daredevil. Why is it flopping? Because it had already run its course. But it was a huge hit on Netflix, you say. Why didn't that goodwill get transferred to Disney Plus? Notwithstanding that, Disney Plus does not have much in the way of goodwill. One of the things that no one has reported on is a dirty secret Netflix discovered that most of their series ran out of steam after the second run. In fact, they were already pooping out during the second run. They discovered this with both their excellent Daredevil and Jessica Jones. The numbers were crap in their third seasons. After that, Punisher got only 2 seasons, and same with Luke Cage. Very few shows get more than 2 seasons. Grace and Frankie and Orange is the New Black ran for 7 seasons, and Virgin River just got renewed for its 7th. Do you detect a pattern? Superhero shows that guys run out of steam after 2 seasons, whereas the longer-lasting shows have a predominantly female audience. Orange is the New Black had a whopping 66% female viewership. I guess women have more stamina.
Star Fury.
Including when it comes to watching streaming shows. The point is, Daredevil completed its run on Netflix, and there was no gas left in the tank. A lot of people are blaming the 7-year hiatus, but that had no bearing. One does have to wonder how long The Witcher with Henry Cavill would have run if the showrunner and writing staff weren't incompetent morons. Long-running shows like Game of Thrones and The Sopranos on HBO just felt different, and they were treated more like network shows with a bit of nudity and swearing than what the streamers are doing. We looked forward to each season. Same with Mad Men on AMC, another cable offering. Well, happily binge watch classic network series on Netflix, Prime, and Disney Plus, but the streamers can't seem to find the same success with their offerings. I'm sure they talk about it in their creative meetings. Give Netflix credit. I mean, it has experimented with resurrecting that 70s show, now called That 90s Show, which is a really tough watch. I think the survival of TV and the movie business is all tied to sorting out streaming and creating a universal interface that doesn't suck. And as far as Disney Plus is concerned, what is its brand? I mean, if it ever had one, I don't know. Do you? And it hasn't been helped with the purchase of Fox, which has pretty much turned Disney Plus into the Fox channel because, frankly, most of the interesting stuff I'm watching on DP is the Fox library.
DP.
Disney's
DP.
Touchstone label produced many successful movies, but I mean, they're hard to find as Disney has killed off that brand and doesn't, promote those hits. The top 10 shows on DP are Daredevil Born Again, Win or Lose, Grey's Anatomy, High Potential, Modern Family, Desperate Housewives, Paradise, Family Guy, The Simpsons, and How I Met Your Mother. Mostly Fox offerings. Not really seeing much in the way of Marvel or Star Wars efforts. I've said it before that while the purchase of Pixar made sense, buying Lucasfilm and Marvel completely discombobulated and confused Disney HQ, regardless of how incompetently both have been managed.
If they had just hat tip Paul Chatto, an interesting analysis indeed. If they had just made good content, if they had just made good shows, and the target had been tell a good story. Give us the real Marvel characters. If that had been the target and not a bunch of woke DEI bullshit, there might have been a place for Disney Plus as a great streaming service. But at the end of the day, I think what Paul Chatto is hitting upon here is the streaming model was always, I think it was always a flawed model. I think it just was. It's based on subscriptions, which just needs content, grist for the mill. It doesn't have to move people in a single episode. And that's the problem. So, okay. I have to... Have I showed the Interstellar trailer, Tim Allen? I'm digging a hole, man. I think I'm just digging the hole. I don't think I'm actually helping my case at all. Well, maybe I'll do this one. Yes. I just don't like the sound quality on that one, but what the hell? We'll just have to go with it, I guess. Here we go. Mr. Producer, no, that's the wrong browser there. Wrong tab. There it is. Yeah, here we go. It's for Tim Allen. I have to win this argument, okay? I have to win the argument. Share screen and desktop audio, Mr. Producer.
Little late, Coop.
Yeah, we had a flash.
It's an Indian surveillance drone. Solar cells power an entire farm.
What'd you do, Murph?
She didn't do nothing.
Murphy's Law. You're a well-educated man, Coop. And a trained pilot.
And an engineer.
The world doesn't need any more engineers. We didn't run out of planes and television sets. We ran out of food.
Dad, why did you name me after something that's bad?
No, we didn't.
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law doesn't mean that something bad will happen. It means that whatever can happen will happen. We must confront the reality that nothing in our solar system can help us.
Now you need to tell me what your plan is to save the world.
We're not meant to save the world. We're meant to leave it. And this is the mission we were trained for.
I've got kids, Professor.
Get out there and save them.
I have no idea when you're coming back.
I'm coming back.
We must reach far beyond our own lifespans. We must think not as individuals, but as a species. We must confront the reality of interstellar travel. Murph, I love you forever.
I'm coming back.
Come on. There's not a dry eye in the house. That's right. Oh, let the people be heard. See it, Tim Allen. Give it a chance. It's a brilliant film. And that's the thing. There's 1,000 stories about space travel. This is a story about the travel of the human soul. All right. Was that too much, Mr. Producer? Just a skosh. Bring it down a notch. Okay. Thanks, Mr. Producer. Your opinion is noted. Your opinion is noted. Well, it's been a barn burner. I basically had to fight my own chat. I had to fight my own chat the whole time. You'd think I was the only guy that liked Interstellar. Thanks, Fu Man Blue. Your assistance is noted, sir. It's fun though. I love it. It's a good time. Anthony says, did I nod off? Oh, jeez. Starfur says, I absolutely detest the line, we weren't here to save the world, we have to leave it. Look, I get it, Star Fury. We've had enough of, like, doom and gloom and dystopia, but that's not this movie. The idea of the film is that humans can overcome anything if we have faith and believe in ourselves. That is not a dystopian message. But it's been great hanging out with you. I love arguing. I love arguing, and it's a lot of fun, especially with you, my dear sailors and Starnauts, Star Fury, Wrangler, Fu Man Blue, Anthony Timmons, Tim Allen, Redoubt Productions, Wrangler. Who else? Tom is out there lurking. Grandmaster somewhere. That today wasn't for him. He said, I'm not interested in the topics. So we'll see. And everyone else aboard the Swords and Starships channel. So great hanging out with you. I am Captain Garrett. And until next time, I will see you out there.